He had to be expelled from 100 different worlds. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. For one man, this wasn't just a mission, it was a curse. I have to get back to my family. He must return to each world to save every person he once knew. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. And so, our story begins. The protagonist opens a door, but let's rewind a couple of hours. Meet Ed, our hero. He's in a tavern with his party members. One of his companions tells him that starting tomorrow, he doesn't need to come back. Confused, he tries to laugh it off. He sadly says he understands. Oh, right, it's a holiday, isn't it? His companion angrily tells him no. Don't be a fool. Not tomorrow, not ever. You're done. Ed asks if he's drunk to be saying something so suddenly. Or, no, it's not that, the man says. We all talked it over. We've decided to kick you out of the party. Ed nervously shakes his head. What are you talking about? We all agreed we'd defeat the Demon King together. He turns to the hero, asking if this is serious. The hero confirms it is. That's hilarious, Ed mutters. The hero admits Ed was talented, which is why he was invited to the party. They were happy with his work at first, but they can't say the same these days. He's not helping at all, just messing around while everyone else is getting stronger and moving forward. He's completely stagnated, holding them back. They decided to look after him, thinking he'd get back to his old self. But everything has its limits. And that's why you're officially kicked out of the hero's party. Ed looks completely destroyed by this news. But wait, our hero is just faking it. Suddenly, Ed gets a notification. Conditions met. Returning in 10 minutes. A huge grin spreads across his face. He starts celebrating loudly, and everyone thinks he's lost his mind from the shock of being kicked out. But Ed tells them that's not it. His wish has finally been granted. Oh, and before he leaves, he has a few gifts for them. He summons a small black hole, his personal storage, and starts pulling things out. Books. Lots of them. One of his former party members, Tia, approaches him, extremely excited. She never imagined he could use a skill like that. How can you use such a rare skill? You must have other abilities too, right? A little uncomfortable, Ed says yes and shoves a book in her face, telling her she can learn it too. He hands out books to everyone, explaining that they contain all the information he gathered during their battles. He's included methods for obtaining new skills and training regimens to help them improve. Another former companion asks him a question. What is this? It's a highly detailed map showing every secret passage and hidden trap. Ed tells him it'll be useful in the future since they'll be going to that place soon. The companion says, but we've never been there before. How do you have this? Ed just gives him a sinister smile. It's a secret, he says. Just take it as a parting gift. The hero steps forward to apologize. He admits he never noticed all the hard work Ed was doing for them behind the scenes. All the others start apologizing too. Ed says he didn't do this to get an apology, he just wanted to give them a gift. Tia says they were all fools for trying to kick him out without seeing everything he'd done. The hero, looking hopeful, blushes and says that even though it's embarrassing, he wants Ed to... But Ed cuts him off. Impossible. I can't come back. Everyone is shocked. The hero, embarrassed, says he understands it must be difficult, since they were the ones who kicked him out. But Ed tells him that's not it. No, it's not that, he says. But hey, I hope you guys defeat the Demon King. And with that, without even a proper goodbye, our protagonist runs off. He's got a smile from ear to ear. A 10-second countdown begins. He quickly finds a secluded spot. He needs to be somewhere no one will see him when the counter hits 0. The countdown reaches 0, and the transfer begins. Slowly, he's teleported to that familiar, empty space. After a long year, he's back in this blank, white room with nothing but walls, doors, and clouds. He sits at a table with a crystal ball in the center. With sinister eyes, he speaks to the empty chair across from him. All right, it's your turn. It's time to send me home and make it quick. The problem is Ed receives No response. Not that he was expecting one. He tells us that he was living a normal life as a mercenary when he was suddenly summoned to this place. At that time, he found only a mysterious book in a single solitary door. Back then, he wondered what he was supposed to do, but God never told him. The book on the table was supposed to help, but it was complete garbage. It only said that when he passed through a door, he'd be sent to a different world where he had to be recognized as a hero's companion. He had to stay with them for half a year or become a trusted friend. After that, he had to get himself kicked out to fulfill the conditions and return to this desolate room. It said that after going through a door, there was no turning back. Ed stands up, shouting that this has to be a joke, screaming at the entity that brought him here. He traveled through 100 worlds over 100 years and got kicked out of every single one. He yells that the least God could do is congratulate him or say something, anything, but God doesn't answer. Frustrated, he sighs, at least glad that he hasn't aged. He explains that time doesn't flow in this place, but it passes normally in the other worlds. When he trained, he'd get muscular. When he ate a lot, he'd gain weight. Even his hair grew normally. But every time he returned here, it was as if time rewound to the moment he first arrived. He's supposed to be a young man of 20, but 100 years have passed. He's a young man who has already lived a very long life. He wonders if he'll be an old man when he returns to his original world. Optimistically, he thinks, it doesn't matter. Who would be worried about me anyway? But then he remembers his mother and his friends. The thought depresses him. He pleads with God, saying he's done what was asked. Please, just take me home. Just then, the crystal ball on the table begins to glow. Ed recognizes this. He explains that every time he's exiled from a world, this sphere lights up and grants him a new skill. At first, it wasn't a problem. He didn't understand how to use the skills, but over time, they became incredibly useful, like Wanderer's Treasury, his storage ability. He says that somehow a mediocre guy like him managed to get by thanks to all these powers. And now, this is the final reward. He doesn't really care about it, but if they're offering, why turn it down? He accepts the skill. He's completely shocked. It finally gave him something good. This is a one-time use skill, the likes of which he's never seen before. He decides to save it as a last resort. What could it be? Let's keep watching. Suddenly, Ed feels a new presence in the room. A door materializes, but not just any door. Ed runs towards it immediately because the doors always appear on the right side. This time it's on the left. This must be the door from before the beginning. The door to the world where he was born. He's ecstatic and about to open the door when a thought stops him. 100 years have passed, right? Maybe here. Time doesn't flow, but in a normal world it does. That's not a problem. Except, does that mean 100 years have passed in his homeworld too? Maybe when he opens this door, everyone he knew will be gone. Ed screams at God. I dedicated 100 years of my life. No, you stole 100 years of my life, he thinks. For no purpose. Not even a reason. He was forced to do this work. He was a slave. He demands that God at least show himself. Or does he want him to use that new skill? I was the one who worked for this, not you, he yells. I won't accept this horrible reward. God doesn't respond, but sends the book from the table flying at him. Ed catches it. It tells him to look at the numbers below the door. That is the time that has passed in that world since you left. He looks and sees 000. This means he can return to the exact day he was transported to this white room. He tries to open the door, but it won't budge. Suddenly, the cruel God throws another book at his head. Opening the book, he finds a key. He's furious, as the first page just congratulates him on his 100 expulsions. He keeps reading. It says that with this key, he can visit one of the worlds he's been to before and then return to his original world. It's a one-time offer. Once he uses the key, it will disappear and door 000 will open. He has a chance to visit a world he left behind and see how things are, but he doesn't want to. He has too many doubts. What would happen if he went to another world? But then again, he realizes this is the condition to return home. And besides, now he can do whatever he wants. Excited, he starts looking at the doors, wondering which one he should choose. He arrives at the very first door, his first new world. He thinks back. It was really hard work in this world since he was sent there without understanding anything. Joining the hero's party was incredibly difficult, but thanks to the skill he was given when he first arrived in the White Room, accidental encounter, he managed to join the hero's party quickly. However, back then, he had neither the skill nor the confidence to fight alongside them. He just clung to them. He was terrified of what would happen if they kicked him out before the 6-month mark, so he gave it his all. He carried their luggage, gathered information, and did everything he could think of. To be honest, he never knew what they really thought of him. Ed was with them for 6 months and a little more. And now that he thinks about it, he wonders what happened in that world. Ed then notices that below the door number, there's a 10. This means 10 years have passed. 10 years have passed, which must mean they already defeated the Demon King. Our protagonist decides to visit this world since it's most likely at peace. As he opens the door, he thinks that maybe he went through a lot of hardships there, but also he had a lot of fun. So, in a way, he feels a bit nostalgic. Ed steps through the door, and just like that, our protagonist is teleported to the first of the 100 worlds that he visited. He puts the key away, since it's very important, and thought he wouldn't remember anything about this world, but now memories are flooding back. He assumes that since they defeated the Demon King, there shouldn't be any demonic beasts around. He wonders how he can confirm this. Suddenly, a gigantic creature bursts from the ground and attacks Ed. Our hero dodges quickly. The thing that attacked him is quite gigantic. It's a massive serpent. It towers over him, ready to strike. Why is this thing here? He doesn't really care, since he can finally test his real power. He probably says this because in other worlds, he had to hide his strength. Otherwise, he would never be kicked out of the hero's party. He draws his sword as the serpent attacks. It lands a direct hit. A powerful blow, but it does nothing. He used one of his skills, impenetrable wall. The serpent, seeing that it couldn't beat him physically, rises into the air and attacks with magic, but for Ed, it's nothing. With one of his skills, he easily stops the monster's pathetic attack. He thinks that's enough, it's time to end this. So Ed lunges forward and exterminates the serpent. In a single blow, the massive creature falls, defeated. Time to move on. Ed sheathes his sword. As he walks, he thinks that before, he was forced to join the hero, but now he can do whatever he wants. Also, during all his journeys, he has saved a lot, and I mean a lot, of money in his storage. He thinks maybe he can buy armor with the same design the hero used, or perhaps some manju, Japanese food. After thinking about it a bit, he decides against it. He doesn't need any of that. At that moment, he notices something. He starts running, a worried look on his face, wondering if it's true. Arriving at the city, his face is filled with concern. He finds a nearby town completely desolate, with its walls destroyed. He wonders what happened. Was it an accident? Was it demonic beasts? Or maybe a war between humans? He walks through the city, thinking a war seems too soon. For only 10 years to have passed. Just then, an old man asks what he's doing here in a place where nothing is left. Did you get some bad information? The old man turns to leave. He tosses Ed a bag of supplies and tells him to be careful. Ed asks why the city is destroyed. The old man looks at him, confused. What are you talking about? It's been like this for 2 years. The Demon King's army attacked the city and annihilated it. Ed is stunned. He can't believe what he's hearing. The Demon King's army is still alive. The old man tells him the army has been active for a long time. Worried, Ed asks what happened to the hero, Alexis. Prince Alexis was supposed to be on the verge of subjugating the Demon King. The old man gives him the fateful news that Alexis was killed. Ed is in complete shock, and he starts to think. He realizes it makes sense. The The proof was the serpent he just fought. Desperate, Ed asks what happened to the other two party members. The old man tells him they also died. I know it's hard to hear, but that's the reality. Since then, there's been no progress. We're all just commoners trying to survive. The old man advises him to leave for his own safety. Take care. And with that, he leaves Ed devastated. He wonders what happened after they kicked him out. Why? Why did this happen? They were the hero's party. Were they eliminated because I left? He quickly dismisses the thought. He realizes that's not it. Even if he had stayed, it wouldn't have changed anything. He was never directly involved in the fighting and didn't have the power he has now. He activates one of his skills, Compass of the Lost. It allows him to see the exact location of people he knows or has known. When he searches for Alexis's location, the compass points to a grave. He was eliminated. Searching for his companion Gonzo's grave, it shows he died in the same place. Ed is heartbroken. He wonders why he's searching for their graves. He asks his compass where Tia died. The compass tells him it can't find her. Completely surprised and filled with emotion, he asks the compass where she is. Seeing the result, the location where she appears on the compass. He activates another of his skills, Feet of Hermes, and runs directly to that location at incredible speed. As he runs, only Tia's name echoes in his mind. He passes by a lake with a monster. He dispatches it with one of his skills as if it were nothing. The same goes for mountain snow. He even passes right through an entire army of demons. He's moving so fast. You can even see his trajectory from space. After a while, he arrives at the place where Tia is. At that moment, he realizes he doesn't have a gift for her, so he pulls something from his storage. A fruit that Tia apparently liked a lot. He approaches and is about to knock on the door but stops. He wonders how she'll react. How will Tia react? He's just a former member of the hero's party. It might be strange for someone like him to visit her. Ed gathers his courage, deciding it's no time for regrets, and knocks on the door. But no one answers. So he knocks again, but nothing. He wonders if anyone is home. Ed leans against the door, and it swings open. He stumbles inside by mistake. Embarrassed, he apologizes for entering. At that moment, an angelic voice asks who's there. It's the beautiful and precious Tia. When she sees him, she can't believe it. She thinks it's a dream. She gets out of bed and asks if it's really Ed. Realizing it is him, she throws herself at him for a hug, repeating his name over and over. She's incredibly excited. So excited that she clings to him, which makes Ed a little flustered. She looks him over carefully and says she can't believe he's still alive. Ed tells her she's exaggerating. What? Did you not want to see me alive? She says it's nothing like that. It's just that since he didn't become famous after the expulsion, as would be normal, she thought he hadn't survived. Ed tells her it's his fault and that he didn't want to worry her. It's just that when he was expelled from the hero's party, he changed his name and left the country. Of course, what really happened was that after being expelled, he was sent to the White Room. He sits down in a chair and starts to peel the fruit. Tia excitedly asks if it's an arena fruit. He tells her yes, it's a gift for her. She says she's very happy, but it's a shame she doesn't have a knife. Ed asks if she still has that habit of needing a knife. Tia says yes, and that he should know by now that arena fruit is delicious, especially when it's sliced. Ed says it's not that big a deal. Seeing Tia's indignant face, he says it was just a joke. He prepares to slice the fruit, but as he's about to, she asks him why. His clothes are torn. Ed tells her it's because he traveled all over the world to reunite with his old friend. Tia is quite moved by this. She blushes when she hears him say that. She says she's going to change her clothes and will be right back. Ed asks if she's sure. You don't want to change clothes in front of me? Ed nervously says he doesn't have a change of clothes. While serving the fruit, Ed tells us he was never popular with girls, but Tia would casually touch him. She would put her face very close to his, which always made his heart race. It made him shake. Looking around Tia's house, he notices 4 chairs at the table, but only she is here. Also, in one of the rooms, he sees 3 beds. This is just my theory, but I think it's because Tia believed they were still alive. She probably thought they would come to visit her one day, but that would never happen. I think this is the reason why. After noticing the chairs and the bed, he has a somewhat sad look on his face. At that moment, Tia returns. And seeing her, he's surprised. Why? Because Tia is now wearing her adventurer's gear, in which she looks very beautiful. She asks if he thinks it's strange. He's very surprised by this. He wonders if she put on because she's on high alert since a stranger came to visit. Tia raises her hand, startling Ed, but she just asks him to take off his coat. Tia starts sewing the coat. She asks Ed if he's sure the arena fruit is sweet. He tells her that if it's not, he'll do anything she wants. Tia asks him to feed it to her, so she can taste it. Flustered, he asks why she can't eat it herself, to which Tia replies that her hands are busy. With no choice, and a lot of nerves, he ends up feeding it to her. Upon tasting the fruit, she finds it very sour. Ed thinks she's tricking him, but no. When he tries the fruit himself, he realizes it's indeed very sour. He angrily complains to Tia, since she had previously told him they were very sweet. Tia laughs at him and says that she used to play these kinds of jokes on him all the time. Doesn't he remember? Ed complains that she always played with him one-sidedly. Tia says she was always special with him. Ed tells her not to lie. She only played with him because he was a young boy. He mentions this because Tia is a 100-year-old elf. He thinks that from Tia's point of view, it's like playing with a small child. That's why he was always careful not to have any misunderstandings with her. She says he hasn't changed a bit in the last 10 years, which, well, was to be expected from the woman who exiled him from the hero's party. Seeing the look on her face, Tia's regretful expression, he apologizes and says he has nothing against her and didn't mean to bring up the past. It just slipped out because he was remembering the old days. Tia apologizes for kicking him out. With a pained expression, she says it was truly all her fault and that she's sorry. Sadly, she asks if he came here to blame her. Ed asks what she's talking about. Tia says she's the only one who survived. Ed asks her to please tell him everything that happened. Tia explains that it all happened after Ed left. They tried to find a replacement, but nothing worked out because the vast majority of those who responded to their call only wanted to join to fight alongside them and gain fame when they defeated the Demon King. But they were looking for something more. Someone who would watch their things so they could fight with all their might. They didn't want someone who would drop the luggage to go fight on their own. All 6 people they hired quit, so they hired a professional, but in the end, he ended up quitting after 3 months. Ed understands the fools who didn't get their role leaving, but the professional? Tia tells him not to be surprised. Unfortunately, Ed had spoiled them. He not only carried the hero's luggage, but also washed his clothes, arranged their lodging, and even made them delicious food. The protagonist thinks to himself that he used to be very weak, which is why he tried his best not to be kicked out. Tia says they misinterpreted Ed's work as something very normal. That's why Alexis demanded the same from the person he hired. That was the reason the professional ended up leaving. He told them his job was to carry the luggage, not be their servant. She says that when they heard that, they got angry, which is why they told him to leave. Ed says if someone said the same to him, he would be angry too. Tia says no. Back then, they couldn't afford not to have someone to carry their things. It was in those moments that they realized they had lost a great person by kicking him out. Regretfully, she says they were having a very hard time finding anyone. That's when he appeared, a masked person. This person wanted the job. He was willing to carry the luggage and do any other work. That's why they accepted. This person worked very hard, so they were able to resume their activities, and after a while, they went after the Demon King. Deep in the Demon King's territory, they encountered a huge army. They already had a suspicion that this would happen, so they were prepared. But what they didn't expect was that their porter, with a macabre look on his face, would run away. Everything they had prepared, potions, weapons, and magical tools, disappeared, vanishing along with him, enveloped in a white light. Ed is very agitated. He asks if he used a teleportation crystal. Tia says yes, they had prepared everything in case an emergency arose so they could return to the royal capital. But unfortunately, they weren't carrying the crystals on them, because if they break, they activate. So they entrusted the crystal to this person. Devastated, Ed asks, was this person planning this from the beginning? Did he wait until they were vulnerable to join them? Tia, heartbroken, tells him she doesn't know, but she stops talking after that. They had no choice but to fight. At that moment, a spell was about to hit her, so Gonzo saved her, getting badly injured in the process. He yelled at Alexis to activate his teleportation stone. The hero had one embedded in his armor. If he managed to return alive, he could give hope to others. It made sense. So Gonzo told him to go. But Alexis, in the middle of all this, in the midst of the battle, grabbed Tia's hand and gave her the teleportation crystal. He told her that leaving her friends behind is something a great hero wouldn't do. And so, Alexis activated the crystal in Tia's hand. Survive, he told her. After saying this, tears start to stream down her face. Ed thinks Alexis chose the most selfish and wrong option possible, but he wasn't the only one who couldn't abandon his friends and survive alone. After a moment, Tia's gentle touch calms him, and she continues her story. After that, she was teleported to a secret room in the castle. There, she was met by some aristocrats who asked her about the prince and blamed her, saying she must have betrayed the prince and escaped. Tia was blamed so much that tears started to fall. Then the king appeared. The king asked what happened to his son. After she explained everything, the crying king told her that from now on, she would live in the middle of nowhere, and they would tell the public that the hero's party fell in battle. Ed is a bit taken aback until he understands that it was a reasonable decision. What the king did was respect his son's last wish, since Tia would have been completely targeted if this decision hadn't been made. She says that's why she couldn't participate in the subsequent expeditions to the Demon Kingdom. Ed is a bit shocked since he didn't know this. Tia asks how he couldn't know. Did you live that far from here? Then Tia explains what happened. The allied nation sent 3 forces to rescue Alexis, and even though they knew it was unlikely that they would succeed, they tried everything for a glimmer of hope, but they failed. Ed wonders how he was able to get here if it was a secret place. He tells her he acquired a tool that allows him to see where others are, but when he tried it, he couldn't find Alexis or Gonzo. So they really did die. Ed apologizes to her. Tia tells him it's okay. She had to face reality at some point. There was no way they could have survived that huge army of demons. So that explains the chairs and beds. Tia still thought they were alive. Ed turns to comfort her. He turns to comfort her, but Tia suddenly shouts that she's finished. With a smile, she asks if it doesn't look nice. He tells her it does. Suddenly, there's a loud tremor. Ed quickly runs outside, as the shaking is coming from there. Outside, he finds an enormous dragon. Ed is quite calm. He wonders if it came down from the mountain. On the other hand, Tia is very worried and asks him why he came out, telling him, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." At that moment, the dragon attacks them with a great burst of flame. But our hero is so calm, he wants to handle it himself, even saying it will be a piece of cake. But Tia pushes him back and, using an air barrier, blocks the attack completely. No one else will be lost. I will protect you. Then Tia invokes an incredibly powerful magic spell, Current of the 3 Winds. With a single blow, Tia shatters the dragon. Ed is thrilled by this, as the cut was incredibly clean. But behind him, Tia is exhausted and asks Ed to leave. Ed approaches her and sees that she's trembling. Worried, he asks what's wrong. Trying to hold on. She says she's fine, but she got too excited and overdid a bit. Ed insists she looks unwell, to which Tia says it's because she hasn't fought in a long time, but she had to push herself since he was there. Wasn't it incredible? She stumbles, exhausted. Ed helps her to her bed to rest. He thinks she should be fine since she was part of the hero's party. But what she said about leaving makes him worried. For now, he should clean this up. He wonders what to do. At that moment, he hears some noise from Tia's room, so he goes to see what's wrong. Looking through the window into Tia's room, he is shocked. He finds her on the floor. Seeing her like this is a shock. Tia is on the bed, covered in black bruises that spread from her heart area to the rest of her body. With the last of her strength, she asks him to pass her pajamas. He hands them to her, and after, he helps her into bed and she rests. She wakes up. She thanks Ed. She says she didn't want to hide it from him, but when she was fighting alongside Alexis and Gonzo, she used the elves' secret technique so that everyone could survive. She explains that this is the secret of the elves. It greatly enhances spiritual magic by mixing one's own life force with magic. The problem is, the price she paid for this was her life expectancy. How is this possible? She was fine a moment ago. Oh, seeing Tia, Ed realizes she used her life force for that last attack. Tia laughs and says no. Well, yes she did, because she thought Ed would be killed if she didn't use that attack. Ed feels like an idiot. He feels guilty because Tia thought he would be killed. All because she didn't know he's a different person now. Tia says she doesn't have much magic left to live, and her regular clothes are the only thing sustaining her. When she wears them, she can share the magic that the nearby ancient tree gathers. That's how she has stayed alive. The big problem is that she took them off and put on her adventurer's gear, which, combined with the magic she used to defeat the dragon, means that Tia doesn't have much time left. Ed asks her why she changed clothes. Tia says she was just happy to see Ed and wanted things to be like they were before. She says it seems she has failed again because when she took off her special clothes, it caused the tree's magic to fade, and the monsters around have surely noticed. Ed feels even worse. He feels even more guilty, thinking this is his fault. He ran all this way to see if she was okay, but he only made things worse. Tia touches his face. Don't make that face, she says. Even though it was a short life for an elf, she lived it to the fullest. She got to meet many friends, and on top of that, she got to see him again. Ed tells her not to say that she still has a lot of time ahead of her. A loud noise is heard from outside. Tia says it must be the monsters. Ed says no. He tells Tia that he may look the same and hasn't changed since that day. But since that day, since he was separated from them, he has gained a lot of experience and power. Inside, he's a monster. He thinks that maybe the flow of time rewinds and his body is the same as it was 10 years ago. But for him, 100 long years have passed. He met many people and was separated from them. He's not the same anymore. Ed tells Tia that he's lived many adventures and is strong now. That's why this time, he will protect her. The monsters are here, but Ed is ready. He says not to worry. He will never leave her alone again. Ed thinks that even in this terrible situation, she is worried and wants to protect him. He launches himself at a monster with all his strength and defeats it. Meanwhile, he thinks that even if he defeats them all, it won't bring his companions back to life or save Tia. He doesn't know what to do, but he doesn't want this to be the end. He doesn't like it. He doesn't care even if it takes a miracle. If only the him of now could go back, everything would be different. Using one of his skills, Blood Sword, with a single movement, he eliminates all the monsters. Tia is completely shocked by Ed's power. Meanwhile, after much thought, comes up with a great idea. Maybe there's a miracle. Maybe that new one-time use skill, that skill with a unique effect he had never seen before, would allow him to restart everything from the beginning. But before that, why was Ed kicked out of the party? It turns out Ed was called to Tia's room. When he entered, he found her with another man. Tia told him that he was a disappointment to her, and that's why she had to kick him out. After he left, Alexis asked Tia if this was the best way to get rid of the obstacle. She said yes, because if she hadn't, he would have followed them. She said they couldn't keep protecting him anymore. This was apparently very difficult for Tia, as she clutched her clothes tightly. She says that maybe he'll hate her, but she wants him to live and see a world at peace. Returning to the present, Ed tells Tia that he can protect her now. Tia asks if he's really that strong. Ed says yes, that after being kicked out, he trained very hard. Tia asks Ed if he can take her to the edge of the demon world. Trembling, she says it's okay if he doesn't think he can do it. He tells her to leave it to him, that even if it's the end of the world, he'll take her there. The protagonist makes a chair out of wood to carry Tia on his back. Ed tells us he won't ask her why she wants to go to that place. All he has to do now is fulfill Tia's wish. He starts walking until he reaches a certain place. He asks Tia if this is okay. She says yes, to put her down. This was where Alexis used the teleportation stone. She thanks Ed and tells Alexis and Gonzo that Ed brought her here, that he's strong now, even stronger than Alexis. Ed looks at her, a bit embarrassed. Tia asks him if he remembers when she kicked him out. Now that she thinks about it, she didn't want the weak Ed to be eliminated, and maybe that was her weakness, the reason she couldn't trust him. She wonders if maybe they could have seen Ed this strong. If they hadn't done anything unnecessary, they could have seen a world at peace. She leans on him and once again thanks him for bringing her here. She says she would have loved to fulfill Ed's dream. He tells her it doesn't matter since his dream will come true soon. She asks what his dream is, to which Ed tells her that he just wants to go home. Tia says she would like to go to his home. He tells her she can, that his mother would give her a great welcome. The protagonist talks enthusiastically with Tia, but she is slowly losing strength. Ed tells her that now, with his skills, his expulsion skills, he can do almost anything. He can even defeat demonic beasts and even become a noble. At that moment, Tia takes her last breath. After so much suffering, she has passed away. Ed is devastated. He wonders if this was also God's plan. Pointing to the sky, he asks if God had seen all of this, if this ending was already prepared. Was the skill he was given a while ago for this? If so, he doesn't care. If he has to keep dancing in the palm of his hand, he'll tear a hole in it. And so, Ed uses his final expulsion skill, reclamation. It begins to activate. Take my past, take my future, take everything from me, I give it to you. A ray of light that can be seen even from space strikes Ed. Our protagonist awakens in the White Room. As he opens his eyes, he sees a table. He wonders if he's dreaming. Ed gets very scared when he realizes he's not dreaming. He concentrates and remembers what he was doing. First, he had gotten a job where he had to investigate a plague of moles. After that, he went to have lunch, then went into the forest at night to destroy the mole nest, and after that, he woke up here, seeing a door in the middle of the white space. He wonders what it's doing here. At that moment, a white book falls, startling our hero. Upon opening it, he knows why he's here. He was summoned to this white place, and to return to his world, he must be kicked out of the hero's party in 5 different worlds. Makes perfect sense, right? Agitated, Ed starts to shout that no, it doesn't. To begin with, why does he have to be kicked out? And what's a hero? He's just a poor mercenary. At that moment, the crystal ball in the middle of the table lights up. Ed knows that if he touches it, he'll get a useful reward, as the book said. Doesn't it seem a bit suspicious? But still, he has no choice. He just wants to go home. Ed places his hand on it and receives the accidental encounter skill to join the hero's party. But that's not all he received. He also sees 3 people in a vision, but their faces are covered. He wonders if they will be important. Suddenly, a ray of light shoots out of the crystal, hitting him in the forehead. A huge amount of information starts to enter his head, causing him to scream in pain. He wonders what these memories are, who this is. He had never seen this world or any other. Not this one either. And then he was kicked out by someone he had never met before. And not just once. Not 10, not 50, but 100 times. He begs for it to stop. He thinks his head will break. But a voice in his memories tells him not to give up, that this way they can change the past. Ed is slowly being filled with memories and power. At that moment, he remembers Tia's question, "What is your wish?" Completely overwhelmed, he wonders, "Is this my wish?" He stands up and says, "I did it. I won the bet." He tells us that in exchange for using his unique reclamation skill, he obtained an impossible power, the power of heaven. The 101st and best expulsion skill, one that can even deceive God. It's called Blessing of the Second Return. One more game. All the memories he was supposed to acquire in his future, he managed to inherit upon arriving in the White Room. However, he can't use this skill a second time. He can't perform a second miracle. He remembers Tia. He's sure he can do it now. He has no rival. He says goodbye to the Tia of his future, where there was only a crappy ending. Now it's time to create a new future, a peaceful world where everyone can celebrate together. And so Ed crosses the threshold to create a new future. Meanwhile, somewhere in a city in the first world, we see a man yelling at another. He asks why he can't join him if he's so capable. A person who is quite handsome tells him to lower his voice, that he can't join them because they currently don't need someone with his strength, although he looks strong enough to carry their luggage. On the other side, behind him, many girls are talking about how handsome he is, and besides, he's the hero. Among them is our hero, Ed, with a sharp gaze fixed on the hero. The hero feels this gaze and turns around, but no one is there. In front of him, our protagonist appears, who tells him that he is a professional porter and also the strongest swordsman. Interested, the hero is surprised. And not just him, but everyone around them, as they notice that even the hero got serious when this man appeared. Ed introduces himself to the hero as a vagrant with no goals, at least for now. Ed tells us that the first time he was here, he begged Alexis to let him join, but he showed no mercy. So he had no choice and promised to work for free and be his porter. But knowing what he knows now, that wouldn't be the best approach, as they wouldn't take him seriously. Alexis tries to refuse him, asking how he would fight if he's carrying something. But our protagonist, like a total gigachad, holds up a plate with meat and asks, "How about I defeat you while carrying this?" Ed thinks that, knowing the risks of following the steps of his previous life, this time he will show him that he is also a swordsman. He has to make sure this works now, that Alexis recognizes his strength. Alexis, angry, grabs a fork and strikes the ground, unleashing all his power. He says that if Ed doesn't drop the luggage, he will consider it. Ed tells him he can start, to let him know when he's ready. Suddenly, Alexis attacks, but not Ed. He aims for the piece of meat, but our hero reacts with a quick block. Microseconds before the fork could hit his steak, he unsheathed his sword. Ed even let out a little smirk. Alexis asked if he was disappointed that he missed. Alexis played along, saying Ed talks a big game, but yeah, he's got a trick or two. And with that, Alexis began to counter. He parried Ed's sword strikes with just his fork, stopping every attack dead in its tracks. We're told that Alexis never turns down a duel, as it's the perfect chance to demonstrate his strength. He tells us that, to join their party, one must prove their power, to stand tall before everyone else, and more than anything, they need to be acknowledged by Alexis himself. During the fight, Alexis's fork finally breaks. Ed starts to taunt him, saying that his steak is getting cold, so wouldn't it be a good idea to heat things up a little? Completely enraged, Alexis drew his sword and attacked with all his might. He struck with incredible force, but Ed managed to block it without much effort. Ed laughed at him, saying, "I bet you didn't expect me to stop that, did you?" So this was the full power of the hero, Alexis. Oh, how the mighty have stumbled. Charging his blade with everything he had, he attacks. He manages to be the first to land. A direct hit against Ed, but he succeeds in blocking it. The only problem is that Alexis's power is otherworldly, and obviously a simple iron sword couldn't withstand that much force. The sparks fly. Ed was blown back through the air and looked at his broken sword with some concern. It didn't last long against the hero, but that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that he dropped his stake in the process. Damn it, another huge problem was brewing because the taunt had worked perfectly on Alexis. He began preparing an attack with magic, and upon seeing his stance, Ed recognized it instantly. Alexis declared that he would show him the true power of the hero, the Lunar Light Sword. Ed thought that if he used his strengthening ability, he could deflect it easily, but if he wanted to be acknowledged, to become his companion, he had to overcome this with his own sword, the one he had used in his training for 100 long years. On the other side of the battlefield, we see that Alexis wasn't such a bad guy after all. He was actually prepared to stop his own attack, but upon seeing the look in Ed's eyes, he didn't hold back. And so Ed combined the direction of his slash with the trajectory of Alexis's power, a technique he had mastered months ago. The deflected blast shot into the sky and slowly rained down as particles of light. Ed landed epically from the flight and said that somehow it actually worked, and you have to give it to him. He really showed the whole party his incredible power. Remember that old man he was looking for? The one searching through the rubble in his previous regression? Well, he's here too. He says goodbye to everyone and introduces the fighter as Ed. The party members all wonder who this old man is. He asks them, "You mean you don't know the guy who rummages through rubble?" But Alexis doesn't let him finish and shoves him aside. The protagonist scolds Alexis, saying that if he used that attack on anyone else, they wouldn't have survived. To which Alexis asks, "Isn't that something only Dobby Ark would worry about?" Just then, a person appears, laughing thunderously. "A colossal Baitman." He says loudly that if he had been the one to take that hit, he wouldn't have withstood it. Upon seeing him, Ed recognizes him automatically. This person is Elder Gonzo the monk, the former. He explains that before Alexis got serious, he gave him an order in case anything went wrong, but he let it be. Putting that aside, Gonzo asks Ed how he knows him. Ed replies, how could he not know the strongest martial artist in the world? His healing hands are the stuff of legends. As if they were lifelong friends, they start chatting casually and laughing. Oh, but in that moment, a voice that Ed recognizes asks what they're doing. She tells them it's time to leave and asks what the holdup is. To which Alexis says he was demonstrating his glory and putting a fool with a lot of guts in his place. This girl, just like before, scolds Gonzo for not stopping Alexis. This girl is the lovely Tia, who asks Ed how he is. Ed is quite surprised as he recognizes her voice and face instantly. She introduces herself formally as Lunarisha. She begins to present the rest of the party, but everything in Ed's eyes clouds over because he was able to see her smile once again. Tears of manliness begin to stream down Ed's face upon seeing her. Tia is left petrified. Seeing him like this, she worriedly asks why he's crying. Did she say something wrong? She glares and asks Alexis what he did to him. Alexis says it was nothing out of the ordinary, although his very existence could be considered out of the ordinary, of course. Tia asks him why he always has to be like that. The hero, wiping his tears, tells her he did nothing. It's just that having the hero's party know his name is quite overwhelming. Tia, concerned, asks if he's going to be okay. Are you sure? Do you need anything? Ed asks if she wouldn't mind saying his name. Hearing Tia say his name makes him incredibly happy. Alexis, seeing that they're smiling just because she said his name, looks at him with condescending eyes. Ed's brief moment of happiness is shattered when Alexis delivers the bad news. He says that they can't accept him because the luggage, meaning the stake he was protecting, is ruined. And upon realizing this, there's nothing that can be done. Ed cries over the lost piece of meat. Tia, looking sad, asks Alexis if they really won't accept him, even though he's on par with him. Alexis, somewhat indignant, questions if he's truly on par and asks the public for a verdict. To support Ed, everyone starts pressuring Alexis to accept him. Angrily, Alexis asks Tia why they should accept him when they're already strong enough. Tia tells him that Ed is strong, so she feels they should take him. The entire crowd agrees, but their reaction changes when Alexis reminds them that he's already there. As expected, the public doesn't agree with him. Tia asks a friend what he thinks. He says he doesn't care, but being a combatant, while also carrying luggage, is extremely difficult, so putting that much of a burden on him would be too much. In other words, he agrees with Alexis. This takes a turn when Ed, using his years of experience, complains loudly that he wanted to learn about muscles from the great Gonzo in person. This causes a disaster. And just like that, Gonzo completely changes his opinion and accepts him. Alexis has to admit that his swordsmanship is strong, and that aside from himself, Ed might be the strongest one here. Alexis throws him a challenge. He says they don't need more combat power, just a porter, but he won't have any complaints if Ed can prove himself. That's why I'm going to put you to the test. Ed has to go and buy everything he thinks will be necessary for the journey ahead. Ed, with a defiant look on his face, readily accepts. Here, they show us a memory from the past. Alexis tested him in the exact same way, only there's one difference. Another thing is different, as last time he gave him 10 silver coins, but this time, he gave him a gold coin. Ed wonders if he gave it to him because he trusts him more now. Speaking of which, everything is quite different from the first time I was here. Pay attention to this. Doesn't what the protagonist says seem a bit curious? Ed tells us he thought he knew this city well, but he never knew a place like this existed. At that moment, Ed encounters Tia. Only this time he calls her Miss Tia. He asks if she needs anything. She says no. She scolds him, telling him she wants him to just call her Tia. She asks why he's suddenly adding the Miss, and that from now on, he should just call her Tia. The protagonist, with no other choice, accepts and asks why she's here. Tia says she was just wondering what he was doing and why he was acting so formal. He asks if she doesn't think it's dangerous to follow a man she doesn't know. Tia says that he is certainly very powerful, but so is she, and besides, for some reason, she feels that he is a good person. Surprised, Ed thinks that Tia is naturally social yet shy, but the first time he met her, it feels like there was nothing he could do. The first time he was here, she wasn't this close to him. Could it be that Tia also has memories? Meanwhile, with Gonzo, Gonzo asks Alexis if it's okay to leave Tia with that guy. Alexis says it is. He says he doesn't think Ed would do anything to her, and besides, if Tia wants to go, it can't be helped since she's a free elf. Gonzo lets out a hearty laugh and says he's right. At that moment, the owner of the tavern appears and tells Alexis to get to repairing the table. And watch out, Alexis, this repair is very important. He's fixing the table he broke a little while ago. He says he caused this problem, so he has to take responsibility. A simple task for the hero, who is good at everything, so much so that the table he just repaired, he turned into a work of art. He made it into something ultra-luxurious. The others are impressed by Alexis's refined taste. Meanwhile, Alexis tells Gonzo that they're attracting curiosity. Back with Ed, Tia asks him if he's still thinking about it. Ed says no. He just wonders why she's so kind to him, even though they just met. Tia starts to think and tells him that elves live much longer than humans. She has lived and experienced many things, so it's obvious that she's forgotten some things, but there are memories that she can never forget. Elves store those memories in their souls, but only if they are extremely powerful. These memories remain etched even after they pass away and are reborn. That's why when she sees a landscape for the first time, or meets someone for the first time, she feels a bit nostalgic, and a little while ago, when she saw his face for the first time, it reminded her of a story. Ed starts to think about that. What she said. He wonders if it's not like déjà vu. Then it's not something only elves have. Ed asks if that's the case. He asks Tia if they believe in that. Tia says yes, that perhaps before they were themselves, they met somewhere and became very good friends. Our protagonist is surprised to hear this. With a smile, he tells her that he should let his feelings run free then, so he can get along well with her. After this, all of them go to gather the supplies. Tia wonders if humans have souls, and if they are inherited at birth. She can't know for sure, but well, Ed himself is from a past that he calls the future, and he inherited his memories. He decides he'll take Tia to many shops and show her what a professional porter he is. Their journey begins. They return and find a roof of a house or tavern looking incredibly luxurious. They are left perplexed. Alexis is waiting for them on the brand new rooftop. He tells them the roof was destroyed by his sword, so he fixed it. Alexis says it was quite easy, which was to be expected. He is just that special. Alexis asks them how it went. So, what did you bring? Proudly, Ed tells him that he got some incredible stuff. Alexis asks again what they brought, since they aren't carrying anything in their hands. Ed opens his bag and pours out enough food to last a whole year. Gonzo, astonished, asks how so much can fit into that tiny bag. Ed explains that he found it in a ruin, and it can store much more than it seems. They observe the bag very carefully, so that they don't discover he's deceiving them. Ed says that it seems to be a special artifact, since it only works for the one who is its designated carrier. Ed then explains to us that this is a lie. He simply linked his own storage ability to the bag to avoid getting into trouble. Meanwhile, Tia complains that she wanted to see what the bag looked like on the inside. Alexis asked him how much storage the bag has. Ed tells him it's about the size of 3 warehouses, which is another lie, since the capacity of his bag is apparently the size of an entire world. Tia proudly asked, Alexis, isn't Ed amazing? Ed then pulls out something else from his bag, this time a tool. A magical tool that produces water. They don't even bother to ask how that fit in the bag, but leaving that aside, Alexis asks Ed if he's aware that they only drink water that Tia creates with her magic. Ed says it doesn't matter. It only cost him 50 silver coins. Alexis is surprised to hear this. Tia says he knows very well. That's expensive, to which Alexis says no. In fact, he got it for incredibly cheap, since the normal price for something like this is 5 gold coins. Alexis asks Ed to explain why he bought it. Ed, using his high IQ, says that it's simple. As long as they have enough magic power, they can use it. Gonzo says that's what Tia is for. The protagonist agrees, but if she gets injured or sick, they wouldn't be able to use her magic. Alexis agrees with this. They can't always rely on the carefree Tia. Alexis recognizes Ed's skills. Tia, excited, once again feels very proud of the protagonist. Alexis welcomes Ed to the group. In the background, they celebrate the news. Gonzo tells Ed that from now on, he will teach him how to get good muscles. At that moment, Alexis notices something. He grabs Ed's sword and says he thought Ed would spend all his money on a new sword, but he didn't. No, you just bought something that doesn't suit you. Are you really committed to the team. Ed says yes, and that this sword will only be until they reach the next city. Why? Well, remember that Ed is half a year ahead in this world. He tells Alexis that on their journey, they will practice and learn to fight with him. He adds that they will also manage to get great treasures. Alexis says he would expect that. He asks what Ed has up his sleeve. That's a secret for now. After this, they head to the mining and blacksmithing city of Turumpton. As they approach, Tia sees many chimneys in the distance. She wonders if everyone here are blacksmiths who surely make powerful weapons. Alexis tells her no. As they enter the city, Alexis explains, "This is just a silver mine, so they only produce silver dishes and cutlery here, not weapons." Seeing a blacksmith, she asks Ed if the treasure he mentioned is a knife that makes food delicious. Obviously, he tells her no. After a while, they arrive at their room and settle in. The protagonist gathers everyone. He tells them all that he heard from a reliable source that in this silver mine, there's a rockworm. Everyone hearing the name is instantly shocked because rockworms eat minerals, causing large-scale collapses. On his first time in this world, 3 months from now, the city will experience great chaos and destruction. Not from the rockworm itself, but from its tunnels. This will cause a landslide, wiping out many people. Well, after the explanation Ed gave, Alexis is quite worried. This is a huge problem. He asks Ed why he didn't tell him sooner, so they could have warned the kingdom. The problem is that he has no way to prove this, and besides, the reason he brought them here isn't about a silver-eating rockworm. They themselves are the ones who must take care of this. Why? Well, for the treasure he brought them here for, the shining and priceless mithril. Taken aback, Tia asks Gonzo if there's any connection between the worm and the mithril. He doesn't know, so he tells her to ask them. She says no since she doesn't want to interrupt their serious conversation. But Alexis, who is listening, asks Tia if she doesn't know what mithril is. She says she does. It's a very rare material with high mana conductivity. This material is used to make the best magical tools and enchanted weapons. Plus, it's very shiny. Alexis sighs, a little disappointed by her superficial understanding. He asks Ed to explain. Well, Ed explains that mithril is silver that has been exposed to magic for a long time. In other words, it's a mutation of silver. After this, Tia tries to guess why there's mithril here, but she fails the first time. She's about to guess correctly, but then Ed bombards her with questions to help her understand more. In the end, he ends up explaining that silver must be continuously exposed to a strong magical power to mutate, and the best of them is the belly of the worm. In other words, mithril is the undigested poop of the worm. This leaves Tia in shock, and she cries because she called the worm's poop beautiful. Alexis understands Ed's plan, but even if they get the mithril, how will they use it? In an epic manner, Ed declares that he will forge the most powerful weapon for the hero's party. The next day, they head towards the mine entrance. The next day, all the workers are leaving the mine. The foreman scolds them for leaving. A subordinate explains that the hero left them a message which said that entry was forbidden for the day and that they shouldn't worry, as he would pay their wages. He wonders what they're doing in there. Meanwhile, our protagonists advance into the mine. Ed asks Tia if she's still upset. Throwing a tantrum, she asks him why he had to tell her how mithril was made in that way. After that, Gonzo asks if it wouldn't be easier to just buy the mithril. Ed says if you have the money, yes, that would be the easiest way. But he points out that collecting mithril directly from the rockworm is something completely different. Tia asks why. Alexis explains that the silver refined by the stomach acid of the rockworms leaves it completely free of impurities, and the result is pure mithril. So there are 2 ways to get mithril, one from the mines and the other from the rockworm. Well, in the end, Alexis says that with this mithril, they can make very powerful weapons. Tia asks if that's the case, he would use one too, right? He says there's no need, since he has his holy sword. He asks Ed if he's sure it's around here. Ed holds up a strange device. It almost looks like a compass, but it points towards a powerful energy source. He says that this device is very useful for finding magical beasts. Too bad only he can use it. He tells them he found along with his bag. After a while, they reach the place where the worm is. The only problem is that they've hit a wall. All inspired, Gonzo says there's no other way. They have to find a path, meaning it's time for his muscles to get to work. Ed tells him no, there's no need. No reason to exhaust yourself. Ed approaches the wall, and using his orbital reflector ability, he starts kicking it very hard. Everyone is surprised to see this. Tia wants to stop him because he could get hurt. Worried, she asks him to stop. She asks Alexis to stop him, but Alexis says no because he already realized what Ed is doing. The impact of the kicks and the banishment ability accumulated the impact until it reached the worm, luring it out. Everyone gets on alert when they feel the tremor because here it comes. Alexis tells everyone to get into their positions. So Gonzo quickly stops the worm with his own hands and covers the others. Gonzo shouts at them. Now, Ed and Alexis go for the sides and drive their swords into the worm so it can't escape. While this happens, Tia was reciting a chant to cast her magic, Volcanic Lancer. Gonzo dodges the attack, and Tia's magic impacts inside the worm. The worm writhes in agony. The worm tries to escape upwards. This alerts Gonzo, but our bold protagonist gets in front of the worm and lets it swallow him whole. Everyone watching this is completely shocked. Meanwhile, Ed is inside the worm. To get rid of the worm effectively and get the mithril intact, he will open it from the inside. Meanwhile, Tia is completely stunned. She tells Gonzo to help Ed quickly. At that moment, the protagonist bursts out of the worm, complaining about the fishy smell. Alexis says he went and got eaten, so what's he complaining about? Angrily, Ed says of course he complained since the smell is unbearable. Tia gets close to Ed's chest and asks if he's okay since he's covered in blood. Ed tells her not to worry. It's not his, it's the worm's. Tia shouts at him, worried about why he did something so reckless that worried her. Ed tries to explain why it wasn't reckless, until he remembers that the first time was the same. Ed apologizes to her. He thinks she hasn't changed at all. Tia is still Tia. He thinks that he's going to like this timeline. He must become even stronger for her. At that moment, he pulls the block of pure mithril from his cloak. Everyone is floored when they see it. They are quite impressed. Tia by its beauty and Gonzo by its size. This seems to be enough. I've never seen a mithril or this big. Tia asks, how much could this be worth? Alexis tells them that with this you could buy a small castle. In other words, you can make a lot of money with this. In a serious tone, he says that this is a luxury item, which cannot be handled by just anyone. It requires a top-tier blacksmith. Meanwhile, Gonzo and Tia are still amazed at what the mithril is worth. Alexis asks Ed what his plan is with the mithril, to which Ed says that he has a lot of confidence in himself. Confidence as a blacksmith. These words leave Alexis puzzled. After a while, all of them go to a blacksmith's forge that they rented. Ed is quite enthusiastic seeing all the tools. The blacksmith who rented them the forge doesn't want to charge him since he saved him from a rockworm, but Alexis insists on paying him. He tells Ed that he got him this and will also let him do what he wants with the mithril. So if it ends up being something mediocre, he must face the consequences. Ed says he knows. They look at each other with great curiosity. With great confidence, Alexis tells the other two that they have to go. He notices something, that Tia is watching Ed quite infatuated. Alexis tells Tia that she has to leave with him. He says that she seems to have him on her mind a lot, doesn't she? Since he joined and when they went shopping, she hasn't left his side. He knows Ed is kind, but she can't just trust him blindly. She worries too much. Alexis wonders why she acts that way. With a slight smile, Alexis leaves, and he along with Gonzo go to a tavern. Gonzo tells Alexis how he could have said that to Tia, when he also clearly has Ed on his mind a lot, since he trusted him to come this far, and even entrusted him with that great treasure. And usually, he's not the type of person who trusts others easily. Alexis says that since Ed joined, he's been observing him constantly, and in addition to his skill, he has many artifacts. He also has diverse knowledge and abilities to deal with monsters. This even surprised him quite a bit. So yes, he has him on his mind, just a little. Gonzo laughs at him and says that's just like him, that he could be a little more honest. Meanwhile, Ed tells Tia that he doesn't want to be presumptuous, but blacksmithing isn't something that's enjoyable to watch. Tia tells him that's fine, since she's not looking at the forge, but at him. Ed asks if she doesn't see him all the time. Tia says yes, that she wants to watch him because he can do anything. Hearing this, Ed gets depressed as he remembers his future from the previous regression. Looking somewhat grim, he tells her that's not true. There are many things he can't do, and these hands of his always let the most important things slip away. As he forges, he thinks that it won't happen again, as he will rewrite the end with his own hands and skills. He will create a new world, a new future. He will change the end. He will create an armor that changes fate. A mysterious eye observes Ed from afar. The eye tells someone named Zane to welcome back. This Zane says that, as always, this body feels uncomfortable. He wonders what the hero is planning. Well, his job is to investigate that, since he is the one in charge of reconnaissance. Before starting, he must inform the Demon King. Meanwhile, Tia is dreaming. Ed is carrying her on his back. She asks him what kind of person the luggage carrier who ran away was. He tells her he was a man who looked like a normal guy. His name was, this name is not shown in the video. It just gets covered up and his appearance is described a little. He had a very large nose and was Argentinian. At that instant, Tia wakes up and tells us she had the same dream again. She and Ed walking in a different world. She wonders why she always keeps having that dream. Ed, seeing Tia awake, tells her to go to bed, but she says she likes watching him. Observing him, she remembers the first time she saw him, how he started to cry. Even though he keeps it to himself, she also felt something when she saw him. It was a heartbreaking moment. At that instant, Ed tries to get some water from his storage, but realizes he lost all his treasures. In the regression, that's why he has to create a new sword. The only good thing is that he still has his skills and memories. That's all he needs to find that bastard. He takes out his compass sword, spy on a target. Meanwhile, Zane observes the protagonist. He's focused on Ed's strange behavior. He's the luggage carrier, but why is he forging? His actions are quite inconsistent. I must continue to observe him closely. He tells the eye that he doesn't understand it. He continues that although he can take the form of a human, he always has the same face and body. The eye tells him he's clumsy, as he can become anything but can't change his appearance. Zane tells it not to talk to his subordinate like that. The eye was right, because when Zane transforms into a shadow lizard, his toucan nose is still visible. He tells the eye he's going to gather information. And 2 days later, Ed finishes his work. They will use his compass to locate magical beasts. Meanwhile, Zane watches the screen from afar. He sees the creations, a pair of gauntlets, a sword, and a staff. This is what Ed made with the mithril. Zane is curious about the weapons. He thinks that except for Alexis, the others shouldn't be a problem, but there's something bothering him. Ed turns to look in his direction with an impressive bloodlust. Zane is extremely nervous. Scared, he must inform the Demon King. So he turns into a shadow bat and flies away. He feels something strange about that boy, since not even Alexis could notice him, and he's confused. When Ed looked at him, it was as if he was looking at his prey. Damn it. Subscribe. But hey, there's no point in staying quiet, is there? Zane is in a bad mood. He's scared, especially seeing how calmly Ed acts when his companions appear. Was he being watched? Have you been watching me all this time? Gonzo assumes this guy is a demonic scout. Zane reverts to his human form and tells them he's not their enemy. He thinks he'll get away with it since the hero isn't around. He says he has a message for the hero, to have a better future. Ed tells him the hero didn't come. He's giving them a chance to show off while he evacuates the civilians. But wait, did you say something about the future? That's so funny I want to cry. I know. You're here to shatter the future I dream of. Zane laughs, belittling the protagonist and saying how dare he act that way when the hero isn't here. Zane begins to transform into a huge monster. This is his true form. Ed, as always, is calm and cracks a joke, saying the hero chose the right job, evacuating. At that instant, someone attacks. A powerful blow sends Zane staggering back. The attack was a punch, powered by Gonzo's new gauntlets. Zane shouts that he hates this appearance. Now that they forced him to use it, he has no choice but to destroy the city. He begins to summon a large ball of energy in his mouth. Ed asks Gonzo if he's good to use that. He says yes. So Gonzo activates his aura shield, and when Zane launches his attack, Gonzo manages to stop it with a huge barrier that covers the entire city. Zane is shocked, not only by the barrier, but by their strength. He can't believe what he's seeing. A shield that covers an entire city should be impossible. Tia says it was to be expected from Gonzo and Ed. They're impressive. Meanwhile, Alexis observes from a distance. He wonders if armor can make such a big difference. Who is Ed really? He remembers that when Ed gave the gauntlets to Gonzo, he explained how to use them. First, he had to focus his mana on a specific point and then unleash it all at once. Gonzo blows off Zane's arm. He barely managed to dodge. For his part, Gonzo is very excited. This gauntlet is amazing. Zane, terrified, thinks, even without the hero and the holy sword, they're this strong? Why is this happening? Is it because of that guy? He says he must report this to the Demon King. So he unleashes a massive shockwave. The blast makes Gonzo think he's self-destructed, but no, Ed says it's just a distraction. Zane transformed into a rockworm and escaped. He thinks they can't pursue him. He made it. A large mass of rock transformed into a woman pulls Zane out. This is the ability of Tia's new staff, and she tells Zane that he can't deceive its eyes. She remembers the protagonist's explanation for using its powers. She had to infuse spiritual energy into the staff's blade to give it a special attribute. Gonzo, impressed, tells Tia she was able to use such a powerful technique. Tia tells the protagonist it was his creation. It wasn't just a simple spell, it was overwhelmingly enhanced thanks to Ed's staff. The protagonist, while approaching, Zane grimly tells him that he knows what he planned to do in the future. Right now, even if you die and are reborn, you will never forget this. My resentment still persists. Do you know what I'm talking about? Ed says it's fine if he doesn't understand, because this is his atonement. And as he attacks him, he shouts, "Where I come from, someone like you gets erased." Subscribe. After this invisible cut, Ed's sword turns back into a staff. He thinks that finally, he has achieved his revenge against the one who eliminated his group in the first round. He says this because this guy is the demon who was pretending to be a luggage carrier to get into the hero's group, only to betray them later. That's why the luggage carrier wore a mask and his nose was huge. Ed turns to see his thrilled friends and that he managed to save them. He tells them his swordsmanship and sword are pretty good, right? They think he's a show-off, but well. As they approach the body, Alexis wonders if he was truly eliminated. It's pristine. Alexis tells him to look closely. The cut is barely visible. The surface of the cut is overwhelmingly smooth. Only someone with mastery of the sword and a very good sword could do this. Ed laughs embarrassedly and says he still has a long way to go. He made the sword hastily. He says that, as far as he knows, There's no craftsman in the world capable of creating something like this. And yet he called this a rushed job? Alexis asks who he really is, and above all, what is he hiding? That look from Alexis. There are times when one's status can lead to arrogance and lack of empathy. Sometimes that was the case with Alexis. Just like the first time he was here, that look of looking down his nose doesn't suit him at all. Ed wonders if he went too far, if Alexis thinks he's hiding something. Alexis says the appearance of his sword is deceptive. It seems to be more than just a simple mithril staff. He doesn't understand the mechanisms. Ed begins to explain the mechanics of his creation. The mithril forms wings on one side, shaping an incredibly thin and sharp blade on the other. The blade reaches its maximum sharpness with 12 wings, but that's as far as it can go. Any more and the blade would break from slight impact. But well, Ed says that the sword doesn't transform with magic, but with his master blacksmith ability. He explains that as the master blacksmith, he is the one who gives the sword its strength. And well, that's all for today. I send you a greeting and see you in the next video. Goodbye. As expected of a hero, you analyze everything. Alexis says he will rephrase his question. As a blacksmith, how far do you expect to go? Ed, a bit nervous, says that he's thought about trying to make a sword that can cut anything. Alexis gives him a thumbs up. He says that's a typical goal, but can he really make a sword like that or not? Tia asks what makes him think that. Alexis tells Ed that didn't he say a while ago that the weapons he created were just an experiment or something made in a hurry due to lack of time. That means that if the conditions are right, he can make something even more powerful and impressive. This raises the following questions. Why was he in a hurry? Or didn't he have enough materials? Or didn't he have the necessary tools? Ed thinks there's a problem. Currently, making a great sword is impossible. He says that his biggest limitation was the materials. It's not like they could simply buy the materials and that's it, because after all, the materials he needs to create that sword are materials from other worlds. He says that other worlds part in his mind. Alexis looks at him mysteriously, but well, he tells them they have to clean up all the mess, especially the city wall. They have to fix it. He will help. And hearing this, Tia remembers that everything Alexis touches, he turns ultra fine, so she tells him. She says that she and Gonzo will repair the wall. She, along with Gonzo, rushes off, running to repair it. Ed says he'll join them then, but Alexis stops him. He has a task for Ed. He wants him to go to his room to discuss a certain matter. Ed is very nervous. Tia, using her abilities, begins to remove rubble. She is praised by all the citizens. They praise her. Tia apologizes. It was her fault that all this happened. The villagers start to surround her and praise her and her group. Everything is fine until someone shouts to Tia that with her power, she could defeat the Demon King, which puts her down a bit. She says she doesn't think so. Of course, you will bring peace to this world. Tia, hiding her unease, says that with everyone's support, the Demon Lord will not be a problem. This attitude spreads to the rest, even to Gonzo, who tells them that with his muscles he'll crush the demons. They're impressed to see Gonzo carrying a huge stone, even when they see it with their eyes closed. They're still impressed. It was as expected from the incarnation of muscles. Tia looks at the citizens with a smile. Gonzo pats her and tells her that everything will be fine, that as they achieve more things, the weight of the expectations they have on them will increase. They have to carry that for being part of the heroes group. He tells her she doesn't have to act tough in front of him. Besides, they have that new boy on top of it all, because of whom they have become much stronger, so she'd better not worry, and they will defeat the damn demon king. Tia appreciates his words, but wait, where are the other two? Ed is in Alexis's room, and he's super nervous. What makes him most nervous is that Alexis is treating him very politely. Does he want to kick him out of the group? Well, no. The reason he called him is to have him check this out, his holy sword. Seeing it, he is impressed and excited, and this increases when Alexis tells him he can unsheath it. But wait, is it somewhat disappointing? Alexis asks him what he thinks. Ed says that as expected of the Holy Sword, its blade is impressive, but Alexis asks him if this could really be called a Holy Sword. The protagonist thinks that this sword could not be created with his basic blacksmithing skills, as it is made with first-class techniques, but it is disappointing. Alexis says he knew he would notice. This sword is definitely not. It was definitely created by humans, but it's just an imitation. Ed starts to think that if he used his master blacksmith power, he could make something of the same level, but then where is the true holy sword? He asked this out loud. Alexis told him he didn't know. He told him that he has multiple reconnaissance teams throughout the world looking for it, but they can't find a trace of it. This suggests that this fake sword was a simple substitute until the real one was found. Alexis says for the moment, he has deceived everyone with his skills, but he feels that this sword is reaching its limit and there is no one left who can forge a sword of this caliber. Or so he thought, because there's him who can create a more powerful sword than this, right? Ed thinks that if he used everything he learned in his first regression and his exiled skills, he could most likely create something more powerful, but it would still be a fake. It wouldn't compare to the real holy sword. And he's about to refuse until Alexis, dropping the hero act, bows before him and says that so he can continue without end. As a hero, he will give him everything he needs. So please, he asks him to forge a sword for him. Ed asks him not to bow his head to someone like him. Alexis is a hero. He says he will bow his head as many times as necessary, because as the hero, he carries the future of every person on his shoulders. Therefore, his failures become the failures of humanity. Ed, angry about what he saw in his previous world, tells him that they didn't give him a choice. They forced you to be a hero for them. You're nothing more than a simple sacrifice. A man as wise as you must know that. Still, why do you take responsibility? Alexis's answer is that he is special. He can acquire what he asks for. To create the sword, he must fight and become strong. That is his purpose. He exists to give hope and peace. For the future, he must make the hopes of others come true. So he asks that please, with his hands, allow him to continue being a hero. All of Ed's thoughts, bad thoughts that he had about him, vanish. He realizes the mental delusion Alexis is going through, not as a hero, but as a person, which makes him a true hero. Ed tells him that his work is not worthy of a hero. So he takes out his compass that finds anything and asks it where the holy sword is. Alexis is taken aback. Wasn't that just for finding demonic beasts? Ed tells him that, as he said before, he has a secret or two. Ed thinks that if the true functions of this compass came to light, it would be harder for him to be exiled from the group in the future. Although, well, with this level of determination, he could hardly call himself a man if he refused. Alexis, surprised, tries to say something, but Ed interrupts him, saying that in exchange for helping him find the holy sword, he wants him to stop being a monster, defeat the Demon King, and return peace to this world. Could you accept this request? Alexis, with a smile, says that he never ceases to amaze him. He swears he will pay that price. So he asks him to lead him to the sword. Ed, as usual, calls Alexis, but this time Alexis corrects him, saying his name, because a person to whom he bowed his head will no longer be treated as a simple luggage carrier. He is a true member of the heroes group, and therefore he can call him by his name. Ed thinks that he's the one who is still surprised. But well, they shake hands. That said, Ed once and for all becomes an official member of Alexis's group. The next day, they are all amazed at how little time it took Tia to build the wall. Everyone praised her. They invite her to stay, but she apologizes. She already has her next destination scheduled. Before they leave, the citizens want to thank her and show her something. They built her a statue, although this is nothing compared to what she did for them. Gonzo and Ed start to make fun of it while Tia is embarrassed. She wasn't the only one who helped. One of the builders says he will never forget what she did for them. although he didn't see anything, but he's sure she did something unforgettable. Alexis says that's true, but that statue is somewhat lacking because it doesn't light up at the bottom to be more imposing. But well, after Tia's embarrassment, Alexis asks Ed to lead the way. And so their new journey begins. They left, but they don't know how long it will take since the compass only guides them to that place. So their only option is to follow the compass. They pass through mountains without being able to see anything. Continents, deep swampy forests, and other dangerous terrains. They reach caves with no way out, so they had to find another path. Ed loved this whole trip, as he was able to see all those landscapes he couldn't see his first time here. They traveled for 3 months until they reached their final destination. They arrived at a hidden forest, hidden among the mountains, full of fog. Gonzo asks Ed if they haven't passed through here before. He said that this is the path his compass marks, so it's the right path. Gonzo asks Tia if she can locate where this thick fog is coming from. As she searches, she realizes that the forest is under the influence of an illusory spiritual magic, and it seems that if you're not careful in removing it, a new spell will take its place. But there's something strange about the movement of the mana. It seems to react to something. Definitely what they're looking for is here. Then maybe this fog is due to Alexis's presence. They look at each other closely, but they're just joking and making fun of Tia because a few weeks ago, she entered a cave thinking the sword would be there. She asked them not to make fun of her. She throws a tantrum for Ed to say something. He says that this time they have arrived at the long-awaited place, which looks impressive, and in the middle of it all is the holy sword. It rests on a pedestal, waiting for its true master. A phrase, a clue to find the sword. In the deepest part of the hidden forest, in a place deeper than pure water, the hero's strength will be found. He now understands. To get here, the hero had to travel in person to find it. No wonder no one has found it until now. Tia and Gonzo, seeing that Alexis is in shock, support him from behind, pushing him and telling him to do it. This is his great moment. Alexis tells Ed that if not for him, they wouldn't have made it, so he is fully grateful to him. Ed tells him they promised, so go ahead, he shouldn't keep the sword waiting. Alexis says yes, but wait before that. Why doesn't he try to pull it out? The true hero is the only one who can pull it out. That means that if he himself manages to pull it out, he will become a hero, right? This makes sense to the others. Tia is excited to hear this. Ed accepts if he's offering. Who is he to refuse? The others behind him also sign up. He grabs the sword and can't even move it. He thinks he could put the entire platform in his storage, but that would be cheating. In the end, he couldn't pull it out, which depresses him. Now it's Gonzo's turn, who also couldn't. Now it's Tia's turn, who also fails. But well, now finally it's our big shot Alexis's turn. The others are expectant. Alexis is nervous, but that doesn't matter. The others are sure that if it's Alexis, he will be able to pull it out. Seeing that Alexis moves the sword, they shout excitedly, which annoys him since this is supposed to be a special moment. A voice asks Alexis, "Who has laid hands on the holy sword? Are you the wielder?" The true hero, Alexis's consciousness, is pulled into a spiritual plane. He is transported to a room in the royal castle, where a woman tells her newborn baby that his name will be Alexis. She knows that one day the world will know him. The whole world will know his name. After all, he is her precious son. Indeed, this is Alexis's mother. Meanwhile, outside, seeing that Alexis is completely still without pulling out the sword, they approach to see what's wrong, but a statue attacks them. The group gets on alert. Did they fall into a trap? Ed doesn't know. He shouts at Alexis to get a grip. Tia says he won't hear him. A strong spell is on him. It seems his consciousness has been taken to another place. So what's happening is that the golems are here so that no one interferes with the hero's trial. Back with Alexis, we see him in his memories. We see him as a child telling his mother about his fantasies of being a hero who will defeat the Demon King. He asked her if he would ever become one. His mother delirious and ill, told him yes. The young Alexis told her he would do his best for her. After that, a painful day occurred, the passing of his sweet and precious mother. But that wouldn't break our hero. Alexis, since that day, worked hard every day without rest to be the best. The hero she saw in him, all for his mother. But he was made to realize that he wasn't special the day he met Gonzo, with whom he fought with a smile. He felt true joy in battle for the first time. Meanwhile, the others fight against the golems. Well, that's Tia, since physical attacks do nothing to them. The boys, meanwhile, were protecting Alexis. His memories continue. Although he knew he wasn't really anyone special, he didn't give up on being a hero. He doesn't know if it was a crime or not. His stubbornness was to prove that what his mother said was true, but he kept going until he defeated Gonzo. After a while, he was recognized as a hero. He was named a hero, but a doubt called to him. Was this really what he wanted? Time passed, and to continue being a hero, he got companions. However, not all of them could keep up with him. Oh, he was saying this because of the Ed from his previous world. But why? Because he has memories of that moment, the moment he asked Tia to remove Ed from the group. Because he was so weak, he wouldn't last long alive, and since they cared for him, they preferred to kick him out of the group. The current Alexis shouts that this never happened. The sword, or whoever is inside it, tells him that this is not an illusion. These are memories that exist within him. Many things got out of hand. Here it talks about what happened in the previous world. Despite being loved by the people, the promises of a hero who never proved himself ended up unfulfilled. In the end, nothing was left. Can someone like you be a hero? Do you really think you're worthy of being called a hero? A hero is like a hero who gives everything to save the world, but you are too stubborn. You would rather sink in your own stubbornness than fulfill your duty. Everything you do is a disaster. What is in front of him is the conclusion of the hero's farce and the end of the world. So, I ask you one more time, really? Are you a hero? Alexis says he has no idea if he's a hero just because they call him that. Maybe it's just because he's a hero. He just thought he was special because the people around him said so, and he just went with the flow, doing what they told him. He admits he wasn't a true hero. The golem's sword rises to annihilate Alexis. He has his revelation. The voice tells him that he decided there's a difference between those who are born great and those who work to become great. It helped him realize that it's those around him who make him special. He will overcome his trial and create his own path. Because I am the hero. A new hero has been reborn. Reborn Alexis. He tells the others that with this power, they begin to win. Pushing, he could break through the impregnable demon world and reach the demon king. He, with eyes of, which are a half moon, tells them that together they will defeat the demon king. They affirm and support him. After a few days, at night, Gonzo and Alexis talk. He thanks him for having accompanied him this far. Gonzo asks him what's with. Are you worried you won't make it? Alexis says that's not it, but he needs to be prepared. He also has the right to live his life. Gonzo is concerned. He asks if he doesn't think he's prepared. Alexis says that's not it. He's referring to the others. Gonzo says it's true. Those two may not have that level of resolution, but well, when the time comes, he will show him that he is capable of protecting him with his huge muscles. Alexis says that when the time comes, he asks him to forgive his selfishness and laugh. I think he says this because of the memories he saw in Ed's first time in this world, but now their fight begins in earnest. The star of the group is fighting. Gonzo asks if he has found it yet, etc. He said no, there are too many monsters. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, where there separates the world of humans and demons. This is very dangerous. Not just anyone could come to this place, but if it's the heroes group, it's another story. Later, they're at a campfire. They are at a campfire under the moon. They talk about what they miss. About Ed's food. The one who misses it most is Tia, who is disappointed that she can't eat his great cooking because of the situation they're in. Ed asks Alexis if he's okay. He used a huge move a while ago. He says he's fine. He'll get used to it soon since he's a hero. Gonzo mentions that he imagined it would take them years to get here and be able to face the demons. But no, only 6 months have passed since they met Ed, but already feels like they've spent more time together. Passing a day with them is more valuable than spending a decade apart from them. What he means is that the most important thing is not the duration, but the depth of their time together. For his part, Ed thinks about the conditions to return to the white world. Spend 6 months in the heroes group. Now all that would be left is to be expelled. He thinks that now that Alexis has obtained the holy sword, he is now the most powerful existence in this world. And if you add Tia and Gonzo to the equation, it's the best team of heroes of all. But wait, with Ed, they're fighting together, of course, but his goal is different from theirs. No matter what he does, he can't reduce the distance between those who stay and the one who leaves. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to keep living in this world with them. That's what he usually thinks, but no. It's not possible. Even after witnessing this scene, his soul still yearns to return home. Now, he must find a way to get expelled naturally. Meanwhile, the others celebrate that they are very close to the Demon King's world. Ed asks what they will do after defeating the Demon King. So will Alexis become king or not? It does. They joke about the future. Don't worry, I won't disappear. I'll come back to you. Alexis denies being worried. Gonzo tells him not to be embarrassed. But well, what about Tia? She says she would love to travel the world, and they could meet up to share memories of their travels. Doesn't that sound fun? Tia asks Ed what he will do. He who most wants a peaceful future. He says he'll go back to his hometown. It's a rural village, but it's a nice place. Ed, acting weird, says that if the opportunity arises, maybe. Tia tells him he's too reserved. He could at least share his contact details with her. Tia begs him. If he stays silent and disappears, she suddenly won't forgive him. Gonzo tells him that she's right. They are comrades, and that bond will never be broken. It will never break. While the others celebrate, a happy Alexis wonders if he got drunk. On plain water. For his part, a somber Ed tells himself to make sure to defeat the Demon King no matter what. They made a promise to our country. That's right, Alexis says that he promises, so they bump their fists. Everyone goes to sleep while Ed keeps watch. He tells us that this is the first farewell of the 100 he will repeat from now on. This time, too, he won't be able to make it to the end with them. That's why he will do everything he can to not regret anything. Gonzo wakes up. He tells him it's his turn to keep watch. Ed asks if Tia is asleep. Hearing a yes, he asks if he can ask him for a favor. I'm doing all of this for you, Tia. Alexis is listening. Ed tells us that he's not going to carry any more regrets. This will be his final job before being exiled. The next day, they run into battle while Alexis clears the way. The final fight begins. Well, after a while, they run into an army of demons. They were the reason the hero's party was annihilated. The first time, a demon general steps forward. He welcomes them, saying he's been eagerly waiting. This demon taunts Alexis. So, you're the hero. But can you really face this grand army in your exhausted state? Ed scoffs at him, saying Alexis is just getting ready to give them all a personal autograph from his holy sword. The demon vaguely recognizes Ed from some strange reports he's received. It seems they had cornered Zane, a high-ranking demon leader who wasn't defeated by the hero, but by a black-haired boy with a distinctive eye. The demon points. It's him. It's you. Ed sighs. Ah, so you're the guy who sent a report to the Demon King every time one of you dies. I missed one. Ed then asks the demon a question. If I surrender myself, will you let the others go? The demon just laughs at him. Don't be ridiculous. We're eliminating all of you, using our full strength. We can't afford to underestimate you. That's why I brought the entire demon army. Alexis steps up and says, so to move forward, we just have to eliminate all of you, right? He smirks at the demon, making him furious. The demon declares, I will eliminate you. I will eliminate you all. Forward. Attack them. The heroes ready their swords, and the battle begins. Clang. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. The demons are being completely overwhelmed by them. So the demon general shouts, Come here, you beast. Subscribe. Uploading again. Oh, I found you, hero. A massive serpent appears. As they use a skill, Ed creates an arm of earth and grabs onto the edge of the pit, pulling himself and the serpent out. The serpent holds him in its jaw while the earth arm grips its neck. The serpent mocks them. Did you really think you could escape me? I'll devour you along with Gonzo's defensive wall. Gonzo retorts, I'm impressed something so huge can fly, but, you're far from unexpected. The serpent is shocked because there's only one person behind Gonzo's shield. Ed raises his sword and plunges it into the serpent's head. They begin to plummet towards the ground. Alexis yells at him to stop. That's the wrong way. Ed replies, This is tricky, but I'll try. The epilogue. He asks Tia to cover them with a spike, with a barrier, so they can reach their destination safely. Tia says, I managed it for my own reasons. He tells her, You did great, but that must have used a lot of magic, right? He gives her a potion. We still have a long way to go. Gonzo laughs, saying that amount of damage wouldn't even tickle his muscles. Still, Ed tosses him a potion to recover. Alexis pleads with them, Please don't overdo it. They finally arrived. From here on, they will enter the real demon world. Tia asks if walking right in isn't dangerous. They say they've already passed the demon army. The problem is they could be attacked from behind and cornered, but facing so many head-on could be counterproductive. Alexis tells them, No, I have something to say to you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for fighting by my side this whole time. But I want to ask you something. From here on, every step is lethal. Unlike me, the hero, you all have the right to live your own lives. If you wish to return to your country and retire, I promise I will never blame you. But will you fight by my side until the very end? Ed just smiles. He thinks this is his determination and pride. This is why, in the first timeline, he saved her. Alexis is just so clumsy in these kinds of situations. Tia and Gonzo tell him, Alexis, of course we'll be by your side. We'll go together. Meanwhile, Terry and Amelia are elsewhere. As Alexis breathes a sigh of relief, Tia wonders what he's talking about. The protagonist thinks that since Alexis is the kind of person who can choose that path, they'll be fine without him. But Ed tells them, No, I'm sorry, but I won't do it. I'm not going in with you. Tia thinks he's joking. Stop joking around. What about what you said not long ago, that you'd be with us until the end? Ed looks away, unable to meet her gaze. Ed thinks this has been on my mind for a long time. If I stay with them and we defeat the Demon King, I'm still afraid. Will I be able to return to my world? If Alexis defeats the Demon King, does he stop being the hero? And if so, would I still meet the condition of being exiled from the hero's party? I can't know for sure. Not unless I try it. But if it doesn't work, I can't bet my life on that kind of gamble. He was looking for some kind of loophole in the goddess Emmy's rules, but oh well. Alexis understands. Wanting to stop here, it's a sensible decision. It's what's kept you alive until now. If you come with us, as an ordinary person, you could easily be killed. Tia tries to speak to Alexis, but he cuts her off, saying this is the decision he has made. The day we talked about what we'd do after defeating the Demon King, you said you wanted to go back to your village. You wanted to leave that day, didn't you? But fine. I respect your decision. Tia looks down, crestfallen, while Ed thanks Alexis and says, this is where we part ways. Alexis tells him, when you go, you don't have to worry. It's thanks to you that I got the holy sword so easily. With this, I can open the gate. To clear a path, I need you to teleport as far away as possible before the fight begins. Tia snaps at Gonzo. Aren't you going to say anything? Do you agree with this? Gonzo thinks back to what Ed told him by the campfire. Ed had said that with all the power they've gained, he almost feels bad for the Demon King for the beatdown they're about to deliver. But he noted something. You only mentioned the three of them. Gonzo had told him, they have you too, and you're incredible. You shouldn't sell yourself short. We all know we wouldn't have made it this far without you. But anyway, what was that favor you wanted to ask? Ed had said that he believed that after we enter the demon world, the Demon King's army will surely be waiting to ambush us. This seemed logical to Gonzo, given their flashy battles. The problem was how many enemies would be waiting. It wasn't a game. If it's a small force, we can handle it. But if there are too many, it'll be difficult. Gonzo had said that even so, that would be a good thing. We could drastically reduce their numbers, right? Ed replied, that would be the normal approach, but since we entered the forest, we've had nothing but fights. We haven't even been able to rest for a moment. Are you sure everyone isn't starting to feel exhausted? Do you really think we could defeat the Demon King in this condition? Ed told him, our priority is to get the hero to the Demon King. Gonzo replied, if that's the goal, that's what my muscles are for. Ed said that's why. We must be prepared to think and make logical decisions. So, if necessary, just as they've always done for me. And watch my back. I want you to watch my back. I'm counting on you to do it. When the time comes, and this is the moment. Back in the present, Ed hands his backpack to Gonzo, which weighs a ton. Gonzo now understands everything. Is it time? Ed nods, yes. Gonzo tells the others, it's time to go. Ed turns and walks in the opposite direction. Tia shouts, what are you talking about? You're going the wrong way. The army is that way. But Lexi realizes Ed's true intentions. He's going to fight the entire army alone. He tries to stop him, but Gonzo holds him back. Alexis angrily demands, let me go. Gonzo says no. That is not the direction the hero must follow. Alexis screams, don't be ridiculous. How can we sacrifice a comrade like this? This isn't a logical decision to move forward. Realizing Ed's intentions, Tia is in shock. Gonzo covers them with a barrier so they can't stop Ed. They scream, what are you doing? This isn't right. Ed knew they wouldn't accept this, especially Alexis, who in the first timeline chose to save Tia instead of him. Ed tells Alexis, don't get it wrong. That demon said it before. They'll use their full force. The Demon King's forces are here to eliminate you, right here and now. Which means that where you're going, the only thing left is the Demon King himself. Besides, those guys aren't kidding. They take everything seriously. It's only fair that I'm their opponent. It's tough being this popular, you know? Gonzo tells Alexis, if you're a true hero, you must understand the boy's determination. We all believe that you're the one who must defeat the Demon King. So what should you do right now? Answer me. Tia refuses to leave him. Alexis is caught in a mental dilemma. Is this the right thing to do? Is this the price for defeating the Demon King? He remembers what they said when he drew the sword. Are you truly a hero? He looks at Ed, who's waiting. Ed gives a small, familiar signal, a thumbs up. That signal reminds Alexis of their promise. Ed says, it's time for you to draw the final line. But since I'm at it, can you exile me from the hero's party? Tia screams at Alexis, don't do it. You have to stop him. Gonzo holds her tightly, so she can't move. While she screams and cries, Alexis unsheathes his sword. A blinding light emanates from the holy blade. He says, as Alexis, the leader of this party, I hereby exile you from the hero's party, so you better come back alive to return that sword to me. Exile conditions have been met. 10 minutes remaining until return to the white world. Internally, Ed thanks Alexis and entrusts him with his friends. Take care of them. He apologizes to Tia. I wanted to bring back your smile, but in the end, I made you cry again. I still have so much to learn. Tia screams that she'll be eliminated. She just wants to be left behind with him. She thinks, no, this isn't happening again. Again, at the cost of another's life, I'm being protected by someone precious. I'll be the only survivor. What is this feeling? The one thing I'm sure of is that I don't want this to happen. Gonzo yells at her to stop. I can barely hold you. Are you going to waste his determination? Tia retorts. I know, but you don't want this either, do you? She falls silent when she sees his face. Gonzo says no, but Ed asked me to do this. He's not sure, but he feels like he's had a similar conversation before. He remembers. A few days ago, talking with Ed, Gonzo said it felt like Alexis had entrusted him with something. It's like I had an extremely realistic dream. He's likely referring to Ed's memories of the first timeline. Hearing this, Ed just smiled. In the present, Gonzo remembers something Ed told him at the end. It's just a dream now. He asks Tia, what kind of friend would I be if I didn't honor his wish? The group falls silent and keeps running. Meanwhile, Ed is ecstatic. He stands before the demon from earlier and says, sorry to keep you waiting. Thanks to you, the hero and his party can now proceed without obstacles. As a sign of our gratitude, the hero will defeat the Demon King. The demon scoffs, you can't be serious. It's a futile struggle. I'll finish you quickly and catch up to them. There's no escape. Do you really think there's a future for you? Huh, you better prepare yourself. Right here, right now, you will meet your end. Idzmirks. Blood engine activate. The demon realizes Ed's aura has changed. This guy right now is too dangerous. Elsewhere, we see Tia's thoughts. She thinks that Ed sometimes had a certain expression, one that seemed to say, I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. She desperately wanted to prove to him that wasn't true, even if it led to her own death. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. But what if the place Ed yearned for was beyond her imagination? If that were the case, she wouldn't choose a future that ignored his wishes. A demon appears in front of the group. He says, I was only here as a contingency. I didn't expect you to make it this far. I'm Grogil. I defend this path, so you shall not pass. Alexis tells him, as we are now, you're no match for. Oh, Tia asks Gonzo to put her down as she walks forward. Grogil sneers. He mocks them for sacrificing one of their own. That's a coward's plan, not a hero's. Wait, what? Devil. Is she casting a grand spell? Yes. Infuse. Subscribe. Back with Ed and the demon army. He thinks he must press forward to reach the future, the one he yearns for. He tells the army, time to defeat the Demon King. And so, the humiliation of the army began. The demon general can't believe it. How can someone like him have such strength? He's not even the hero. Ed doesn't explain a thing. The ability he's using, Blood Engine, increases his abilities 100-fold. The immense energy it unleashes boils his blood, turning it into vapor that emanates from his body. The problem with this ability is that in exchange for power, it drains his life force. After 10 minutes, he will disappear. The demon, seeing that, he's moving so much, activates one of his skills, removing the gravity around them. Because of this, Ed can't run or move. With this opening, another demon opens its eye and begins to generate a massive amount of energy. Annihilation. Beam. The main demon thinks he's finished Ed. He even orders the attacking demon to go after the hero, while he reorganizes the troops. But the demon refuses, stating that since he lost a large part of the army, he no longer has any authority. They start to argue, but it's not the time for that. From the crater where Ed was, something shoots out at high speed. It's Ed, heading straight for the demon who attacked him, and he annihilates him. With a single sword strike, he yells at the main demon, I already told you, you're never going anywhere. Seeing Ed's strength, the demon tries to use his territory, his gravity to hold him back, while another demon attacks him with a sword at the same time. Ed dodges, using his skills from the first timeline. He keeps activating more and more abilities, more skills. As he fights, he thinks soon, I will leave this world. I've repeated things over and over again for the last 100 years. No matter what I do or who I'm with, in the end, I'm just an outsider. And yet, That's exactly who I am. No one will stop him. He keeps moving forward, eliminating them one after another. He says, liberation defines how you live and shape the future you desire. And since you'll be returning, alone, even if I lose my hands, I'll take you all with me. I won't let that tragic ending happen again in this world. A red rain falls upon the system. A notification appears. Only 1 minute left to return. Ed, now without arms, has already disposed of the vast majority of the demons and approaches the gate. The last few demons wonder, who is he? With one of his skills, Ed regenerates his arms and prepares for the final battle. Rapid resurrection. He's back. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. The battlefield is silent. Only dust and silence remain. Now only the last one remains, the general of the army. The demon says, "You're strong, probably the strongest member of the hero's party. That's why you stayed behind alone to hold us back. But that will be your downfall." Oh, he's finished. He activates his skill, gravitational collapse. The pressure crushes Ed, but he's still standing. The demon mocks him. Gonzo isn't here to stop that attack. Ed speaks of the good things about each party member and how together the three of them become the most powerful people in this world. But the main character is an unenthusiastic guy like me. With a swift movement, the protagonist pierces the demon. He tells him, even if I'm not there, I know they'll win. The demon, true to his nature, laughs. Ha ha, so I've lost. But I accomplished my goal. You can't use such power without a price. That price is your life, isn't it? You'll never see your friends again. You die alone. A powerful, yet pathetic loser. Powerful, eh? Ed finishes his life once and for all. As the protagonist sheathes his sword, he suffers. As he sheathes his sword, he suffocates, having reached his limit. Good thing he made it. Made it just in time. Now everything is in Alexis's hands, but I'm sure they'll succeed. He wonders, I wonder, after it's all over, what will they do? That ruined world no longer exists. Alexis and a muscle head have a bright future ahead of them, and Tia won't have to hide in that desolate forest anymore. Everyone will live in peace in this world. But where did Ed arrive? This place. Is this my destination? He understands. This is his final destination. Where am I going? The place where he lost Tia for the first time. He asks aloud, did I manage to keep my promise? Was I able to carry that destiny? The wish I've had all this time? Well, not having an answer to that question is a better reward. Oh, and if you don't like my video, please like it. Wait, I should probably leave this. He thinks about the sword he made. Jackety and the others might try to find me if they can't find my body. 10 seconds remaining. Seconds to return. It will be too painful if they don't find any trace of me. But I'm sure if I leave this sword, they'll understand. 6. With that, he completed everything he wanted to do in this world. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, Alexis. I'm counting on you, Gonzo and Tia. Take care, and I'm sorry. He returns to the white world. He checks his surroundings, and he sees that everything is as it was. As always, nothing out of the ordinary. He approaches the gate. He smiles at Gate 101. With how strong they are, they'll finish off the Demon King quickly. Man, I'd love to eat some manju buns, but I'll have to wait until World 100. Another 100 years, but putting that aside. Every time I come back, I get a skill or a reward. I thought it wouldn't be the case this time, but that orb is glowing. So, will I get a new skill, or will an existing one be upgraded? What's happening? Why isn't it giving me anything? The orb just hovers there, pulsating. Are you mad at me or something? This is why that damn god should just stop. I swear, Kylene, you need to stop this damn joke. But then, looking at the book that fell in front of him, he realizes it's not blank. It's in color and says Heroic Records, Results Book. Reading a little, he wonders, are these the results? Is this an autobiography of Alexis? No, 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 this is an observation diary of Alexis from a deity's perspective. The book is free. It talks about Alexis from the moment he was born and continues to cover every aspect of his life in the finest detail. When Ed gets to the part about Alexis's mother, he cries, missing his own mom. He's also surprised by Alexis's Tia phase. When the content of the pages moves on to Tia, Ed's hand that was turning the pages stops. When he reached his own name, he got really into the story. Reading about the world he knew from a completely different perspective gave it a refreshing twist. He's reading about their adventures and says they are great and truly outstanding. But in their story, he feels like a secondary character. Or so he thought. He reaches page 282, Epilogue, the three great heroes and the divine emissary. He realizes they had always considered him. Alexis spoke of him, naming him as the one responsible for their victory over the Demon King. Alexis said, Ed was the true hero. He is the one who deserves all the praise. The king, who was listening, assembled a large group to research Ed's history. But no matter how much they searched, they found nothing. His story begins the moment he meets Alexis. Only those 6 months are known about Ed. Because of this, the fourth hero was named the Emissary, a being sent by the gods to help the hero save the world from the divine war. Well, he finishes reading and feels greatly relieved. At that moment, a bookshelf materializes out of the floor. It seems it's for him to place the books he'll receive from the other worlds. The shelf is empty. Seeing it makes him want to fill it up, though he feels a bit sad not knowing what else his companions did. After this, he wonders if Gonzo returned to his homeland, but knowing him, he shouldn't worry. But Tia, he worries about her. Is she traveling the world, or is she looking for him? It's a scary thought, but he could see her doing that. But hey, they kept the house. Their promise. Now it's his turn. He will also create a happy ending in the remaining 99 worlds. Oh, he remembers what the demons said. You die alone. He wonders why he remembers that now. He knew it from the beginning. This is the future that he chose. He wouldn't turn back. He would leave everything behind and belong nowhere. He's nothing more than a passerby. He will give up everything to achieve his happiness, returning home. That is his. You may find yourself in an abyss of loneliness without even wanting it, but there is always someone looking for you, loving you, and finding you to pull you out of that place. In a flash of light, with an astonished smile, a figure appears and says, I found you. But why is she here? Well, let's go back a few minutes. In a city, a child wants to be the hero. He tells his friends who they'll be. Another boy complains, as that's not his name. He doesn't want to be the hero, but a girl on the street asks him. But the hero named you as his best friend. Besides, you're really cool. This is Tia, in the kingdom of Northland. Meanwhile, inside the castle, the king is resolving some issues with one of his guests. After he leaves, Seba, his secretary, gives the order for the next guest to enter. The king tells the guest he will hear their request. You wanted to see an elven guest? Tia says, I hope you are well. I'm grateful you've granted me this audience. Alexis is from the royal family. He tells her, a king's time is more precious than you think. Tia, with a smile, calls him by his name. Then there's no time to waste, right? He smiles back and welcomes her. Tia rushes to hug him, shouting, It's been so long. 2 years. Alexis asks her to let go, but oh well. Well, it seems Gonzo won't make it on time this time either. Tia, while spinning him around, says it might take a while for him to come since he's still teaching. But she asks him, along with the secretary, Reginald, if she can speak with Alexis now. He says, as free and wild as ever. I'm glad to see you. Alexis tells her he can't talk yet. He has one more meeting. Reginald reassures her, don't worry, when I heard Miss Tia was coming, I cleared his schedule. This makes Tia happy. He smiles, happy to see his old friend. Later, she's on a balcony, observing how beautiful the city is. After this, she talks with Alexis about the kingdom. She congratulates him on how much the city has advanced. It's so bright and cheerful. He says, yes, but this is just the first step because outside the capital, it's dark and gloomy. My mission is to bring light to every corner of the world. If I don't do that, I can't fulfill my promise to him. Tia remembers the day they defeated the Demon King. Once it was over, they ran desperately to see if Ed was okay, but all they found were the bodies of hundreds of monsters and Ed's sword. She cried inconsolably. She at least wanted to take his body to his hometown. After these 10 years of searching, she has learned that maybe he's alive somewhere else. Alexis tells Tia, it's been 10 years. Isn't it time for you to live? To face reality. Ed is dead. I'm sure he would want you to go on with your normal life. She asks him if he remembers why she traveled to the Eastern continent. He says, it was for a technique to sense souls, right? She says she succeeded. It caused a lot of trouble, especially for Gonzo, but thanks to him, I know where Ed is, where his soul is. Alexis can't believe it. They searched the whole world for him, but found no trace. Is he alive? Tia says yes. The problem is she doesn't know how to reach him. Alexis asks what she means. She says she doesn't know. The source of his soul could be very far away, on the other side of the sea, above the sky, or even beyond the limits of this world. That's why I was thinking of using a little trick. It exists, doesn't it? A spell that takes you to any destination, regardless of the distance. Alexis knows. He knows what she's referring to. Teleportation magic. But that requires a huge amount of mana, even for a single person. Even for you. She knows he's right. Even as an elf with a large amount of mana, it probably wouldn't be enough. He tells her it's not enough. For that, you need the mana of the entire country. No, the entire world. Well, if it's for him, the people would agree. The problem is whether it will work, and if you teleport, where would you go? You'd be in danger. Danger? We'd have to prepare for that, and Tia stops him and thanks him. And I'm sorry, but this is my selfish wish. I want to do it on my own. I don't want to cause you trouble. Ed would be mad at me if I did that. I'll be fine. I'll succeed. After all, with a hero's party. Later, Alexis is in his office. Reginald tells him it's late, time to sleep. He says he'll finish up for the night. Reginald asks if he didn't want to have dinner with Tia. He had something prepared. Alexis says no, since she finally found a clue about where he is. I don't want to get in her way. The dwarf asks where Tia is. He says she's in the archives. He gave her permission to review anything she wants. She must be investigating already. For my part, I want to do everything I can. Reginald says, I understand how you both feel. I just hope you don't ruin your health over this. Alexis tells him, no need to worry. We've finally caught the tail of our long-lost friend, so I won't let it go. There's no way he'll get away now. In the archives, Tia is overwhelmed by all the research theses there. A very nice girl brought her more books to continue her research. Tia says Alexis gave her access to all the national archives. Thanks to this, she got to see everything, even top secret files she normally couldn't read. Her research should progress quickly thanks to this. She really is blessed to have such incredible friends. That's why she'll do everything possible to find Ed, no matter how long it takes, even if she has to spend the rest of her life doing it. She tells us that Ed's winged sword rests in the kingdom's treasury. She managed to find him with one of the wings from his sword. She just needs one more step, just one more. She feels he's there, but impossibly far away. She thought she'd be able to see him again soon. But why did he have to go so far away? I really want to see him again. I miss him. Oh, wait, what's this? It's a book about the practical implications of using external mana for large-scale spellcasting. A verdict. Reading this, Tia's eyes light up. The author of this book is Rogue. Who could this person be? And the next day, she went to see Alexis. As she entered a room, a guard tried to stop her since Alexis was busy. She ignored him and opened the door. She burst through the door, shouting, I found something amazing. With this, I can reach Ed no matter where he is. Seeing that Alexis was in a meeting, she gets embarrassed and slams the door shut. She apologizes through the door. Everyone at the table laughs, thinking she's as energetic as ever. Alexis, embarrassed, tells them they'll pause the meeting for now. Everyone agrees. When Alexis leaves the room, he sees a somewhat embarrassed Tia. He tells her, "You seem even more restless than usual. Did something happen?" She apologizes, but seeing that he's free, she excitedly tells him to look at this. This book was incredible. She wonders who the author is. Alexis says he doesn't know, but then, reading the name, he recognized it. Rogue. It's not a he but a she. This person certainly has talent, but Tia exclaimed, "She's talented. That's why I want you to lend me the book." But wait, why are you wearing that armor? Alexis replied that the place he's about to go is a bit dangerous, but sure, she can take the book. But wait, what did you discover from it? She excitedly told him that if she can use the theory from the thesis, the teleportation method she'll use will be. Tia stops and says, "It's a secret. If everything goes well, I'll tell you later." Alexis said okay. He hopes everything goes well. Tia proudly said it would. She said goodbye and thanked him for everything, shouting as she ran off that she had to start now. With that said, Tia headed to a tower where a man was with a kind of creature she needed for her journey. As she prepared, she thought she had found a hidden shortcut, which is just a theory, but if she can pull it off, she'll be able to go from this world to the space where he is. However, the place where she must make the preparations must be rich in atmospheric mana, and the only place that meets those conditions is the demon world. So, on a griffin, she set off in that direction. She's sure that, in that place, she can carry out what she wants to do. Tia thinks that Alexis and Gonzo are fulfilling their destinies in the places where they are meant to be. Right now, this is what she wants to do, so she can't bother them anymore. This time, she must do things on her own. She remembers something Ed told her. "I don't want to waste my comrades' efforts." She says she has tried many things in the last decade, and even now she doesn't know if what she studied in the book will work, but she refuses to give up. After all this time, Ed still remains in her heart. That's why she still has faith that she'll succeed. Here we see Tia studying the area, go to a waterfall to check for impurities. We see her with a worried expression as night falls. She fell asleep next to her griffin. The next day, she studied the thesis. It rained, she explored, she faced a man whom she defeated, and at night, she slept. Here we see she was very tired. The next day, upon going to another waterfall area, she noticed there were no impurities, so she planted a seed which, after days passed, blossomed. And 3 months later, in winter, at the port, Alexis went to receive Gonzo, who commented that it had been a while, for years since they last saw each other. Alexis thanked him for coming. Gonzo said his duty is to cleanse the land, so he brought some of the best battle monks. Alexis thanked him and mentioned that if they managed to clear the miasma from the place, they can set up a teleportation gate. Gonzo commented that he couldn't believe that kind of technology would become a reality in his lifetime. Alexis told him it was all thanks to Tia. She was the one who discovered and revised the thesis to make this possible. Gonzo said no. Gonzo asked where she was. She was supposed to be here 3 months ago. Alexis said she was here, but she ran off again, saying she had a clue to find him. She visited you too, right? Gonzo said yes, but she only gave him some advice. He comments that he wishes she would rely on them more. Maybe it's true that they have many responsibilities and can't move as freely as she does, but just like her, he would trust them too. They share the desire to see him. Tia shouldn't have to bear the whole burden alone, although, well, that's typical of Tia. Gonzo tells him that's where he's wrong. Tia is in the same boat as them. She's simply fulfilling her destiny with them by her side. By fulfilling our roles, she can be out there looking for Ed without having to worry about the world. Lending a hand directly isn't the only way to help, you know? Alexis said he had to. You're right. I still have a lot to learn, even though I'm a king. Gonzo chuckled at him and asked where Tia was now. Alexis told him. He didn't know. As soon as she arrived, she took the aforementioned thesis and left, only sending letters. Gonzo said that she was in a hurry, huh? But is there any clue to her whereabouts? Alexis said yes. The content of the thesis is their clue. At that moment, a girl coming down the stairs asked if they were talking about her. Alexis said they were just talking about her thesis. Could we ask you a few questions? Gonzo, seeing her, said yes. They met. He asked if she knew why Tia was looking for her thesis. They wanted to ask what she might be looking for to achieve her goal. Rogue replied that she'd tell them in exchange for doubling her research budget. Alexis said she just had to answer. They started arguing until Gonzo stopped them and asked. Rogue didn't answer, so a somewhat resigned Alexis said it was fine. Fine, I'll think about it. So Rogue said okay, but first asked if they knew what her thesis was about after hearing a record. She told them they should start there. Her thesis is about the amplification of external mana. In other words, a way to harness the mana in your environment. Until now, several mages needed to work together to perform a large-scale spell, but with the method in her thesis, theoretically, it didn't work. Only one person could achieve that kind of spell. All that's needed is a spell circle, so almost anyone can do it as long as they can at least use spells. It's precisely because of this that it's possible to make a teleportation gate, which requires a lot of stable mana. This thesis is truly one of the most important. It's impressive. This breakthrough will advance magical technology in their world by 100 years. Alexis said he had already known the basics of the thesis, but hearing it again, he realizes how amazing it is. But where could Tia have gone? Gonzo asked Rogue, does the strength of external mana change depending on the location? She said, of course. Of course it does. A place rich in mana is more efficient for applying my thesis. Gonzo asked, what place in the world meets that condition? Somewhat embarrassed by having him so close, she said she had excluded that place because it was too dangerous. But if they're only talking about having the highest efficiency, there's one place where monsters have lived for centuries. The demon world. Alexis immediately left the house. Rogue asked him what he was doing, and he apologized to her, as they would be suspending the purification of this place for the moment, which threw Rogue off. She asked what he was going to do. Alexis said he had an urgent matter to attend to and would go find Tia. He also told Gonzo that this was rather sudden. Do you have a reason for this? He said yes, because if what Rogue says is true, then Tia must already have the preparations ready, since it's been 3 months since she left, so she could leave for him at any moment. Gonzo said that's true. That's true. That would be very typical of Tia. Alexis said that's why. If they don't hurry, she might leave without saying goodbye. At that moment, Rogue stood in front of them, saying, wait, I don't understand what you're talking about. What are you talking about? You're not going to that dangerous place, are you? Alexis told her he understood. If necessary, he would bow his head in apology in the future, but for now, he'll do things his way. Rogue angrily said no. That's why you need to explain your reasons for leaving so suddenly. At that moment, it seemed, Reginald appeared, asking what was happening. Rogue told him he arrived just in time. Tell this king. Full to explain what's going on. Reginald didn't understand anything, so they explained. He understood, based on what they were saying, that she had completed the teleportation magic. Rogue, shouting, said, what does that matter? Suddenly postponing the teleportation project will cause a lot of problems since many people are involved, and besides, even using a griffin, it will take them 6 days to reach the demon world. Does he expect me to wait that long? Reginald told Alexis that what Rogue was saying was very reasonable. But do you have a reason? Do you have a very important reason why you must go? He replied that, this is something I want to do at all costs. It's for a friend. I want to see my comrade off properly this time. Rogue, agitated, asked, "What kind of reason is that? That's completely selfish. You're taking your role as king too lightly." Gonzo told her not to be like that with him. This is nothing more than claiming his reward. Rogue told him no, and when she asked what he was talking about, he answered, "I'm talking about the reward for saving the world." Alexis replied, "No, he fulfilled his mission as a hero. He has every right to demand this as a reward." Gonzo says, "This is the wish of the hero who granted everyone else's wish. And, of course, I'll go with him too, since I haven't collected my reward for saving the world either." She angrily asked if he wasn't going to pay her. "All of you just do whatever you want." Reginald joins the conversation. He says he understood, so he wishes them a good vacation. Rogue, seeing that no one supported her, angrily shouted for them to do whatever they wanted. Reginald told Alexis to leave her to him. He'd be waiting for their return with good news. Alexis gave him his crown and thanked him, and so the boys left. Rogue says, "There's such a headache. These men never stop acting like children." Reginald, laughing, told her that was true, but it was fine this way. The hero who always fought for the good of humanity and the world is now pursuing a selfish desire for the sake of a friend. The fact that he thought what he's doing was right fills me with great happiness. He wasn't like this before and used to suppress his desires and feelings, so I asked my king to return soon, and so he departed on a griffin. On his way to the demon world, he says to Tia in his mind, "She, Gonzo, and Ed are irreplaceable comrades to me, but I understand that our futures don't follow the same path. That's why, at least this time, I want to see my friend off properly so I don't have any more regrets." Days later, they arrived in the demon world. Gonzo sees something surprising in the distance and tells Alexis to look. As they enter the demon forest, they see enormous trees that clash with the environment. Gonzo says it's obvious they were placed intentionally. "Who did this?" "It was..." Alexis answered, "Tia." "But why?" Gonzo says, "Look, there's smoke coming from over there." And so they find a cabin covered by roots all around. As they land, they shout, "Tia, are you there?" She shouts back, bewildered, "What are you doing here?" She asks her griffin not to growl at them. They're her friends. Tia opens her door and asks them to come in. "You got here faster than I thought." Alexis asked if the trees were her doing. "Did you build this house?" Tia answered yes, although she used a bit of magic, of course. "But more importantly, how did you get here so fast? The letter should have just been arriving." Gonzo asked, "Letter?" She, bewildered, said, "Letter? Letter? Letter?" She asked why they really came. They explained it to her some time later. She said she understood. So Gonzo went with him to prepare the installation of the teleportation portal. So that means the plan is going well, although she's sure the portal will work because she tested it personally. The boys said, "So you experimented, eh?" And the trees we saw from the sky are the result, right? Tia said exactly. Although it was a bit laborious, she managed it. She explains that those trees are special. They concentrate and store magic from the surroundings. This house runs on them, which is why she can prepare everything by herself. Gonzo asked if she was finished. "Do those trees act as a mana network?" Tia said yes. By connecting to the mana network, the magic stored in those trees through their roots completes an enormous magic circle. And when it's activated, all that concentrated magic will activate the spell, which will help me reach him. Everything's ready now. That's why I sent you a letter to say goodbye properly. Alexis was a bit downcast, while Gonzo, with a slight smile, asked when she planned to leave. Tia told him tomorrow. The boys were a bit shaken and said that was too soon. Tia tells them that's why they're saying goodbye now. "Besides, you still have things to do, right? That's why I'm leaving tomorrow." Alexis, nodding, says there's really no beating her. Gonzo suggests they stay. He proposed they spend the whole night talking. Tia agreed, but not Alexis, who asked if she was sure about staying up all night. She replied that she has a lot of energy. So, as they chat and laugh, Tia tells Alexis. Soon I'll be by his side, and I'll tell him many stories. I wonder if he'll be happy or angry to see me. I don't care. I just want to see him, even if I have to leave someone behind. Leave behind the happiness I have right now, because at that moment, she asked Alexis, do you still think about him all the time? She recalls the time Tia was happily watching Ed create his weapons, and he had said to her, you're always thinking about him, aren't you? On that occasion, Tia had answered with doubt, but this time, with a face full of love, she said, yes, I'm always thinking about him. She thinks, I can't help but want to see him again. And so the next day, they went to a very special rock where everything ended and began, which is covered by roots. This is where Ed's sword was. Tia answered, yes, the last place where a trace of Ed could be confirmed, and that's the closest point to Ed. That's why the magic circle was activated here. They tell her they have something they want to give her, some gifts. They started putting multiple artifacts on her. She asked how she looked. I don't look weird, do I? The boys told her no, she looks perfect. Tia says goodbye to her griffin, coolly, and to her friends with a hug, and thanks them for everything. She thinks they're the best companions she could have. They've always given her a push when she needed it. That's how she feels. She stands in front of the rock and activates a stone. She thinks a farewell is not the end. It's an important step to move forward. Alexis asks her to save his life. Say hello to our dear friend for me. A great beam of light fell upon her as she teleported. As she travels, she only has Ed on her mind, asking where he was. In that instant, many moments start flashing through Tia's head, making her ask, was it the world I saw in my dreams? Or she starts to see thousands of things. She's seeing thousands of memories. Tia thinks this isn't a dream, but memories she's never seen before. His soul is in the heavens. It's screaming. These are his memories from another world. She starts to scream. She cries, seeing Ed devastated by her death. As he offers the god his past and future, she wants to reach him, but can't. She starts to drift away. Tia wonders if she's being dragged back to her world. Is she lacking mana? Despite everything she used, it's still not enough. She was so close. Tia screams to Ed to give her his hand. It seems all is lost. Or is it? No, the space begins to crack. This is her determination. She breaks through with her sword and says, no, this time is my turn to extend my hand and reach him. He changed the past, so I will give him a future. I must reach him. She arrives where Ed is. Tia entered the white world. She finally stands before her beloved. She found him. Seeing her, he thought, this was a joke, a very cruel one. Tia ran to hug him, crying, I finally found you. Ed thought that voice, this warmth, there's no way to mistake it. It's really Tia. She's really here. She cried and cried in his arms. After a while, Tia thanked him and asked if he was done. He calmed down. Tia said, sorry for crying on you again. Ed jokes that she can do it whenever she wants, but he realizes something she said before. Again, Tia replied that she remembers everything now, all the things he did for her for them. He gave up his wish the day she died and changed the past. The future. Now I understand why I wanted to see you again so much. Crying, she told him that because of her, his future was... He asked her to wait. How do you know about that? And how did you get here? She told him. Ed, agitated, said. He yelled, what were you thinking? Why did you search for me for 10 years? And why did you teleport here just because you had a clue of my whereabouts? You could have disappeared into space. Why would you do something like that? Grabbing him by the shoulders. She said she did it because of a certain someone who disappeared without a word. But I caught you this time, so I'm not letting you go again. Ed feels her trembling and, looking at her, thinks she's just like he was back then. If she left everything to find him, then he only has one thing to say to her. Ed doesn't want her to experience that pain. Hugging her, he said, I'm so glad to see you. He thanks her. Tia feels the same. At that moment, she starts sniffing him intensely, which weirds Ed out, but she just tells him to let her. After that, Tia told him that when the memories from her other self came to her mind, she saw everything that happened in that world. It was sad, but things are different now. Alexis and Gonzo are alive, and the world is at peace, all thanks to him. Ed said it wasn't a big deal. It was everyone's effort. She said he was right, but he's also part of everyone. Ed, embarrassed, replied that he only did it for his own benefit. Tia said, whatever, but about this place. He told her it was a long story. Do you want to hear it? Yes, I'd love to. In the end, she, agitated, asked him, what were you thinking? Exiled from 100 worlds? That's insane. And when you finally achieved it, you threw it all away and decided to start over. Hugging him, she asked why he would do something like that. I'm sorry. I want to cry again over this. But standing up, she said, I've decided. I'm going with you on your journey through other worlds. Ed was hesitant. Tia asked if he didn't want her to go with him. Ed shouted, it's not that I don't want you to, but that's impossible. Besides, are you sure you don't want to go back? The others will worry. Tia told him not to worry. Don't worry, I planned everything. I've already said goodbye to everyone. Originally, I thought I'd go back after seeing you, but I've changed my mind. I know that if I let you disappear, I'll just regret it for the rest of my life. I'm doing this for myself, just like you. I don't want to leave you alone. I want to travel by your side. Although, of course, if you want to find a way back. He remembers what the other Tia told him before she left this life. I wish I could have granted your wish. Tia asked if she could be part of the wish he made on that occasion. Ed said she was being very demanding. Tia asked if he didn't know. She's a very greedy woman. He said, okay, I accept, but there's a certain circumstance that might be a problem. It's my own ability that allows me to travel between worlds, so I don't know if I can take you with me. At that moment, Tia speaks to Ed, saying she's been curious about that glowing thing for a while. Ed is thrown off because it's still glowing. Tia speaks to Ed, saying she can't believe it. That crystal ball is how you got your powers, right? Ed affirmed. After thinking for a moment, he asked Tia to touch it. And when she did, rays of light and wind shot out, giving something to a stunned Tia. Ed, worried about her, asked what was wrong as she felt strange. She said she was fine, just surprised, but she saw letters appear in her head. Apparently, she got a mysterious power. Ed asked what kind of ability it gave her. Tia replied that it was called, let's hold hands and go together. She says if she holds a person's hand, she can transcend the barrier between worlds with him. Tia is happy. She asks if that means she can travel with him. Meanwhile, Ed is looking at her and thinking beyond what's happening, wondering what's going on. Is this a coincidence? No. There's no such thing as that here. Was this part of the rules from the beginning? In other words, I didn't outsmart the system. I'm simply still dancing in the palm of that damned God's hand. This is all what he planned. Therefore, he didn't change the past and has been walking the same straight path all this time. Although, why would the God make him do things in such an indirect way? Was his goal for me to save every world? But if that's the case, there must be other ways to achieve that result. While he was thinking this, Tia shouted his name several times until he snapped out of it. She asked why he suddenly fell silent and did something strange. Well, after all, that power should belong to you, right? Ed told her no. No, it's fine. Either of us getting the power would lead to the same result. Ed thought of a plan. It didn't matter what some god's motives were. This is the best future he could wish for. How could he complain? He thanked Tia and said he was counting on her. Tia, happy, said she was very excited to travel to unknown worlds. Ed told her it wouldn't all be a path of flowers and rainbows. Tia, lifting him up, replied that she knew, but no matter what happens, as long as they're together, they can overcome anything. They stand in front of Gate 2, where Ed told her she was right. He asked if it was time to go. Fine, let's go at once. Time doesn't flow here, so you can rest before we leave. Tia remembers. certain things and tells him, "No, it's fine. I have a lot of energy because I'm so excited." She opened the door and told him to borrow her hand. "Don't let go." Tia responded with a kiss. "No, I wouldn't, even if you asked me to." Ed thought that the fact that someone is here with him in this cold, white world is so overwhelmingly warm. He's the one who can't bear to let go of her hand no matter what. Even as a reward for saving the first world, this is too generous. They travel through space. Tia asked which world they were heading to. Ed kept her in suspense. He replied, "You're about to find out." And so they arrived in World 2. Ed welcomes her to another world. Tia, disappointed, asked if it was really a new world. "It doesn't look so different from ours." Before Ed could explain, someone appeared, asking what they were doing here. Ed said, "That's it. Here he comes." A little wolf appears. He appeared, asking what a couple of furless were doing here. "This territory now belongs to us, the Animalians." Ed asked Tia to stay quiet. He'd handle it. Ed greeted the little wolf, but seeing Tia repeat "Lin Lin" over and over, he asked if she was okay. She, enraged with cuteness, ran to hug the little wolf while screaming how cute the animal was. The wolf was very agitated, asking what she thought she was doing. Tia asked the protagonist what this fluffy, tiny, adorable thing was. Ed shouted at her, "No. Stop it. You have to let him go. It's rude to act like that with someone you just met." Tia asked why. "But he's cute." Ed shouted, "That wasn't the point. The problem is that this kid is the hero." This baffled Tia. The two of them apologize. The little wolf is somewhat confused. Tia whispers. She apologized to Ed. He was just so cute. He told her not to worry. They could still salvage this. "Just leave it to me." Ed apologized for Tia's behavior. She got excited because it was her first time meeting an animalian. Tia added that seeing he was so cute and his fur was so fluffy, she couldn't help herself. "Resist?" The little wolf asked, "My fur?" She said yes. That's why she couldn't hold back. He said it was okay. It was inevitable. After all, his fur is the best. Ed flattered him, saying that was true. Even he would love to touch it. The obelisk. Hearing this, he said it was okay. He'd forgive her. He said, "A moment ago, you called me hero. Do you know something about me?" Ed told him no. He said yes. "Despite your slender body, you are a fierce warrior, a specialist in the martial arts. I realized just by looking at you that you're a hero candidate." Ed asked him, "You Mr. Waffles, aren't you?" He said yes, he is. Ed commented that he is a "We're adventurers on a journey to perfect our skills." The two introduced themselves to him. The first level is the hardest. The protagonist comments that they hope to see the heroic tournament and didn't expect to meet one of the participants. Waffles said that would be fine. "So you're here for that, huh?" Ed replied yes, but seeing him in person, he seemed stronger than he imagined. Finding him, here must be destiny, so I had an idea. If you'll allow us, could we accompany you on your journey until the heroic tournament? Tia, seeing his face, thought he was making a malicious and cunning face. Waffles thoughtfully said that for people like them, it's difficult to get here, and yet here they are. This must be destiny, so it's okay, you can stay with me. Ed expressed that he was excited to accompany him, which excites Waffles. Ugh. Seeing what he was like, Ed extends his hand palm down, as if telling him to give him his paw. Happily, Waffles said, "You're quite knowledgeable for a furless one." He happily shakes his hand. With that said, it's time to go. Tia asked Ed what just happened. He explained that was a traditional handshake in their culture. By extending his arm palm down and letting Waffles place his on top, he signaled that Waffles is the superior one here. Tia said his culture is so unique. They're indeed in a different world. Tia said she was really surprised to see him. But what is he? A bipedal animal? Or are they both animal and human? Ed asked her to stop. You can't say that in front of them, no matter what. Tia asked why. Ed said that maybe she says it without ill intent, But in this world, calling them animals that failed to become human or beasts is a very common insult said to animalians. Tia feels bad about it. Bad for them. At that moment, Waffles asked the two if they have a plan. A hunter's license? Ed said no. He said he understood. Good luck paying the entrance fee. And so to enter the city, he bribed the guards. Tia was scared behind him, but seeing the city, she was very amazed. What surprises her most is that even though they are all the same species, they look like a group of completely different individuals. Ed grabbed her hand and told her, "You're getting too excited. I understand, but please calm down and don't stare at people. It's rude." Seeing how Ed acts, she finds it cute. With this said, Waffles took them to a hotel where humans are allowed to sleep. He's staying at a different inn and plans to visit the Hunters Guild tomorrow to look for a mission. And Ed replied that, of course, they would accompany him. After all, it's a rare chance to see the heroism of the great Waffles. Hearing this, he happily told them they would meet in front of the guild tomorrow morning. Once he left, Tia asked what she should do. "He's so cute it's hard to hold back." Ed joked, asking what was so special about the hero being cute. Tia wondered if Alexis would be cute with ears and a tail. Hearing this, Ed burst out laughing. After that, Tia died of embarrassment. They stayed in a room where Tia asked Ed why they separated from Waffles. This isn't so bad that he couldn't stay. Ed explains that he allowed them to travel with him, which doesn't mean he sees them as equals. That's why tomorrow is an important day. The Animalians value merit above all, so they must prove their worth and make him recognize them as comrades. That's not just a problem they'll face with him, but with every Animalian in this world. Tia asked if it was really true that the relations between humans and Animalians are that bad. Ed explained that the Animalian nation they're currently in is trapped between the human nation to the east and the territory ruled by the Demon King to the west. What kinds of problems do you think they have being in this situation? That would mean a direct invasion from the demon army as they walk through the world. As they walk through the city buying things, Ed replied that she was correct. Every day, this country fights desperately to prevent an invasion. On the other hand, the human nation doesn't worry about the demons as long as this country stands. For them, this is like their peace, as they suffer no casualties. The humans greatly underestimate the demon army. They have helped the Animalians to some extent, but from their point of view, they're the ones who lose the most. Plus, there are some humans who despise them, considering them a convenient shield that only costs a few cents to protect them. Agitated, she said it's obvious they would get angry. Ed said yes, but no matter how much they hate humans, they can't afford to be distracted from the demon army. That's why they continue to fight, even if it means they're protecting humans. While the suffering of the Animalians continues to grow, humans think about the future. They think their war against the Demon King's army is no big deal. They don't understand the pain they face. As Ed pays for clothes, which pains him, he continues to tell Tia that all these differences between the nations make it difficult to close the gap between them. As he dresses her, he explains that, as you can see, the Animalians who risk their lives in battle also refer to weak and fearful humans as furless. That discrimination has become so ingrained in their culture that they say it without malice. The relations between Animalians are very complicated. The relations between the nations have cooled to a point of no return. It's almost certain that if the Animalians defeat the Demon King, humans and Animalians will be the next to fight. They'll automatically face off? Tia asks if there was nothing they could do. Ed replied that this is a much deeper problem, not something outsiders like them can solve, right? But Tia stopped him and told him, "You helped your world in every aspect and left no problem unsolved. So you should also be able to help this world, right?" He, laughing, told her that his world was saved by them. He only gave them a little push. A world can only be saved by those who call it home. So why don't we give this world a little push? Tia said no. We'll do whatever it takes, but what do we do right now? Ed told her that thanks to the efforts of the Animalians on the front lines, the world has become a safer place. It's at a stalemate. To overcome this situation, they came to a conclusion. The tournament is not over. The heroic tournament, which will take place in 2 months. The most powerful fighters of the nation will gather to compete for the title of hero. Waffles is one of the participants. Tia asked where they would meet. So what should we do? Support Waffles to become the hero. Ed replied, no, that's not necessary. Even if we do nothing, Waffles can win the tournament. Tia said, that's true. I suppose that's why you immediately sided with him. Or are we just going to stand by for now? Ed said yes, or, well, if our only goal was to be exiled, we wouldn't need to do anything. But if we don't, a big problem will arise, and since they gave us a second chance, I want to change the outcome no matter what. Tia asked what happened the first time he was in this world. He replied that there were several incidents that happened at the same time, all of which caused Waffles to not come back. He will smile no more. This left Tia in shock. The next morning, the group met Waffles in front of the guild. He has a mission he thought was perfect for them. Reading it, Tia asked if it was a mission to defeat voidlings. Waffles said exactly. She asked what those were. Ed tried to explain, but Waffles cut in, saying, voidlings are enemies of the world born from the Demon King. They are extremely dangerous beings that attack anyone in their path. She asked if they were born from the Demon King. Waffles said yes, or well, that's what they say. These creatures are completely black in form, differentiating them from other normal creatures. The Animalians always fight them, but the same can't be said for the furless. So you should start by observing. Is that okay with you? As Waffles said this, several Animalians awaited the human's response. Waffles himself was left speechless. Ed commented that, as promised yesterday, they will be closely observing his heroic acts. This left everyone impressed. Waffles told the two that they must take care of their own protection. Ed said, of course, if they attack us, we'll handle them. We'll take care of the situation. We're very confident in our abilities, so we can win. They leave the city. On the way, Waffles told them that since they don't have their hunting licenses yet, they can't form official parties. They also can't claim any rewards. If they want to earn money, they can only gather some medicinal herbs. By the way, where are those clothes? They suit you quite well. Did you buy them in the city? Ed replied yes. They indulged a little. Since they're here, he thought it would be better to adapt. Waffles said that was good. It's better not to stand out negatively. You know your way around this place. Have you been here before? Ed responds that he was a long time ago. Whispering, Tia told the protagonist that they won't have time to show their skills if they only observe. This is okay. If Waffles has trouble, we'll jump in to help him. The protagonist told her no. Just watch. As they entered a cave, Ed asked Tia if she knew why he had been praising Waffles so much. She asked if it was to earn his trust, so he'd let them accompany him. Ed replied that, that's what I did the first time I was in this world, but now that I know everything, I'm doing it with other intentions. At that instant, Waffles tells the two to stop. The enemy is here. In front of them are some kind of completely black spiders, the aforementioned voidlings. At that moment, Waffles charged forward, which worried Tia, as he couldn't take them all on. Ed told her it was okay. All this time, I've been praising Waffles because I truly have genuine respect for him. Waffles is subscribe. Really strong. Subtitles by the Amara.org community. He moves with incredible speed. All of Waffles' movements left Tia astonished. Those attacks were like Gonzo's. He attacks not only with his fists, but the ground too. The protagonist told her they were done. Observing, it's time to act, as Waffles vanishes. And quarters a spider, a serpent-like creature, sneaks up behind him. With a kick, Ed destroys it. The attack was so strong that the creature went flying, leaving its legs in the air. Waffles uses that to attack, but it's too late. Much too late. The remaining creatures turn on Ed. At that moment, two spiders attack him, but the ground begins to tremble. Earth in hand. This is Tia's magic, which leaves the others surprised. Ed said, "This time you didn't use any incantation, nor did you use the sword I gave you. You've really progressed." Tia said, "Yes, after you disappeared, I practiced like crazy." Ed said, "You worked really hard." Tia said, "Of course, praise me more. Although it's actually thanks to these bracelets, which were made after researching the weapon you left us. They're an extraordinary item, though they have some limitations." As Ed and Tia talk, Waffles joins the conversation, saying, "You two are too strong. I suppose the plan is that the furless can also fight. I feel bad for treating you poorly." Tia told him no. "Don't worry about it. Besides, I went overboard with you yesterday." Waffles replied, "What's past is past." She placed her hand on the ground, palm down for a handshake. He happily gave her his paw. With that said, Ed asked Tia what she would do with those voidlings. She, "Oh my God," happily told them, "Done. Time to." What happened to them? The guys, as men, felt it in their groins seeing the spiders being crushed. A splendid moment. That said, Waffles took out his hunter card and absorbed the voidling. Tia asked what? How did that work? Ed replied that he wasn't sure, but these creatures disappear if left alone anyway. They disintegrate in 10 minutes. The hunter card works by completely absorbing the voidling. The monster is then drawn on it, and now they just have to give it to the receptionist to get a reward. As they leave the cave, Tia comments that this was very convenient. She wonders if they can get their own cards. Waffles replied that it wouldn't be possible through ordinary means, but if he helps them, it might be possible. And so once they returned to the guild, they were given their cards. Tia shows hers off, super happy. Ed thanked Waffles for this, who said that a while ago, he mentioned wanting to accompany him to the hero tournament, right? Ed said yes, what about it? Waffles replied, "Now that I've seen your skills and you have your hunter card, I'm going to turn the tables. I'd like to form an official party with you." Ed asked if it was true. They would be very happy about that. Waffles said yes, since he's so strong. He'd love to do missions with them and become comrades. Hearing this, Tia approached happily. Ooh! Suddenly she bumps into something huge, the tail of a terrifying animalian, who asked her, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Tia apologized, but he grabs her with his enormous hand. The others were shocked to see this. Tia remembered everything Ed told her about animalians and humans not getting along at all, and thought that blocking this attack would affect them, but it won't be necessary. Her man Ed won't allow it. He stops the attack with a single hand. The kind Ed told the wolf, "Excuse my companion's rudeness." Oh, a hero candidate and Erdogan. This angers him. How dare a common furless dare to speak my name?